I sneezed a couple times in the car this morning, just thinking.
Did it hurt?
No, these weren't so painful.
Did you encounter any hockey injuries?
No injuries, but I was thinking like, man, if this had been on the Pencast, you know?
Other people would get to experience
it. I was thinking of that, yeah. Just
okay.
Still nobody's experienced that. But I can't force it. I can't make it happen.
I've definitely heard you sneeze plenty of times.
I have. I just haven't done it on camera. Yeah. As many hours as we've been on camera, you would have thought at some point it would have happened. But
yeah,
I think when we're filming, my body goes into like...
I can see that.
Some alternate state.
I
don't feel pain.
Yeah.
I don't feel hunger. No, that's not true. I do feel hungry.
Yeah.
And I do sweat, and I talk about it a lot.
You haven't been that
definitely
much.
Feel it.
Definitely did more last year.
I did, but we haven't gotten into the hot season yet.
It hasn't gotten summer yet.
It's coming. I know it's coming. At home, Rachel wants to open up the windows. It's like 78 degrees.
It's also been very humid around here.
It's so humid.
Like, it's even humid in this room out here.
Yeah.
Like, it sneaks in
everywhere.
The doors don't stop it.
That's what makes it so hot is the humidity.
Weather stripping cannot withstand Virginia humidity.
Nah, I'm just... Now until November, I'm just moist.
All right.
On that note, ready to go? Welcome, everybody, to episode number 135 of the Goulet Pencast, where fountain pens are still a thing. I'm Brian Goulet.
I am Drew Brown.
And we are here from Goulet Pens to deliver this casual and informal, tangential and extraneous, superfluous and extemporaneous fountain pen show where we talk about what's going on at the Goulet Pen Company and in our fountain pen lives. In today's show, we're going to be talking about how many inks that we each have and how we store them, methods, boxes, no boxes, sunlight, no sunlight. We're going to be breaking down the BENU Talisman versus the Euphoria. And we're going to talk about how to improve handwriting and what tools are best to do that with.
Forks.
Yeah, there you go. Talking about collection culling, paring down your collection. I don't understand.
Or not.
This concept, but we'll talk about that. And then the best pens to put a number 6 stub nib onto. Plus we'll be spotlighting there's a mouthful, Taccia Miyabi Shin Sugaru Nuri. And there's more words based on the color. It's quite a mouthful. Limited edition. You can tack that on there too. Anyway, beautiful pens. We'll talk about those. Should be fun today. Let's talk some feedback, shall we?
Oh, yes. All right. I do want to say that we got some concerned comments about some ads popping up in the last Pencast.
Okay.
And that was because we wanted to have some fun and add some licensed music.
Oh.
So yes,
they threw ads on it.
There were some ads on that one.
That was YouTube. YouTube did that.
Yes.
Us.
No.
Yeah.
We do not check the monetized box. But if you add music, like in this case, Carmen or Burana, then YouTube is like, hey, y'all don't own this. We're going to show some ads on your video. So that's why some of you saw ads in the last video. It is not an ongoing thing. Do not fear. We are going to, for the foreseeable future, proceed as we have been in previous episodes. So, but if
that's interesting because they don't tell us when they're showing ads.
No.
And we don't get any of that money either.
Heck
I mean, if we monetize and put ads on everything, we would get some ad share from that. But
I think
we don't get any money.
During the Rickroll video, it was like 10 seconds or less.
Short enough, maybe.
So that didn't trigger it, but the Carmen or Burana, apparently, that has yet to reach public domain. Well,
it was long enough that I think that probably just triggered something. Yeah.
So, all right. Sorry about that. It was for fun, but just a one-time thing until Brian destroys another playset with his tractor.
But we'll make sure to do that to original music next time. We'll just yodel or something.
Yeah, we'll sing it ourselves.
Yeah.
2-man chorus.
Sing.
It'll be Brian singing and me lip syncing.
Fortuno. Yeah.
All right. And then we've got a little nugget of feedback from Meep for Probot Captain.
Yep, nailed it.
Hard recommend the Lamy Ion. I like the nib much better than the Safari or All-Star. It's a joy to hold. Unsung hero of the fountain pen world. Hope they stick around. We did spotlight the dialogue in the Ion last time, and the robot captain.
I think it's Meep Morp Robot Captain.
Meep Morp Robot Captain. Okay.
After studying it for a minute, I think that's what it looks like.
There we go.
Very creative.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hard
recommend. That's an interesting phraseology.
Yeah, it wanted to autocorrect to hard to recommend.
Oh, that is an entirely different meaning.
Right, but I don't think that right. I think the captain is saying that they're a fan.
Yeah, they're a fan.
Clearly.
Like they would hard.
Yeah.
Usually I think of like hard pass.
Yeah.
It's got more of a negative connotation to it, but I
robots
like to,
taking it back.
Yeah.
Hard
right.
can be good.
That's right.
All right, and then Hakurock says Murasaki Shikibu is the name of a Japanese writer who lived during the late 10th century. She wrote the oldest romance novel in the world, Genji Monogatari, or The Tale of Genji in English. Thank you for that. Yes, we were ignorant to the meaning of Murasaki Shikibu.
I think we knew it at one point in time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no,
but we've long since forgotten about it.
There are lots of things in that category.
Yes.
And then finally, Jason Braggs says, I want a spotlight on that cool Game Boy watch. I did get a lot of comments about the watch last week. I was wearing a Game Boy watch. My wife found it at TJ Maxx, kind of bought it as a joke, and she was kind of surprised that I started wearing it totally seriously. But because of course I'm going to wear it seriously. What do you expect? I do have a funny story, though. One night, we were asleep. It was like 2 a.m., and we start hearing this kind of ringtone sort of deal happening. And I thought it was coming from her side of the bed, like it was like she was playing like a reel or a TikTok or something. And she wakes up, she's like, Drew, do you hear that? I'm like, yeah. She's like, what is that? I was like, that's the first level of Super Mario Land for the Game Boy. And then I went right back to sleep. And I woke up and I was like, honey, do you, because I'm like, that didn't happen. That's too random.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, do you remember last night? She's like, yes, what was that? I was like, oh, that really happened? And she said, yeah, you said it was like some Mario? And I said, yeah, I think it was the first level of Super Mario Land for the Game Boy. And then I found out, I'm like, what if that watch played that for its alarm?
That would make sense.
So I went into the closet.
That's what was paired with the Game Boy,
Yeah,
right?
so I went into the closet, grabbed the watch, saw that the alarm button had accidentally been hit, and then set it and played it. I'm like, yep, that's what it does.
Wow.
And we had no idea. Like it's just A, B, and then the directional pad. One sets it and the other turns on and off the alarm.
Okay.
And one does the light. So I just accidentally hit one button and that turned on the alarm one day. But it threw us for a loop. But I mean, hey, that's cool. Like,
I like that in your like half awake stupor, you still acknowledged what game it was.
I knew exactly what it was, and I barely remembered like really being funny. Awake.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's
locked in there. It's in there deep somewhere. Yeah. Oh, very cool. I got some feedback here from Marie Lupin. The destruction of the playhouse was incredible. The music was so perfect. Well, thank you. Even though it had ads. Sorry about that. Didn't know that would happen, but it was still fun. I'm glad you enjoyed that because it was a little extra work to do that. CJ Nissen says, fun tractor footage, Brian. Made me think of when we tore apart our old house, 100 plus years old. Dry rot was going to make it unlivable, so we built a new one. Once most of the outside walls were taken down, my dad took out the main support from outside the house with his shotgun. It immediately collapsed in on itself. Now that's pretty fun. That I would like to see on video.
I thought you would like that. Can you imagine being able to like fell a house with a shotgun?
Sounds awesome. It sounds awesome. Yeah. I would, so like the playset I felt comfortable with, but a larger structure, especially like being on a machine that's like that close to it. This is why they usually have like metal cages on like excavators and stuff like that, is because like stuff can fall on the machine that you're in and it can hurt you.
My great aunt's husband, that's how he went. Tree.
Oh,
yeah.
It terrifies me.
Yeah. I barely knew him, but he ran a company, an excavation company. Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't like felling a tree, or I guess he was in a piece of equipment.
I believe so.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
It terrifies me.
Yeah. Yep.
Dangerous work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. This is why I'm always trying to be safe when I'm out in the woods. All right, this is from ALM 22523. The Pencast has been my lifeline during postpartum. I don't know how I would have handled the last 12 weeks of minimal sleep and little caffeine without the humor and long episodes. And I hold in all of my sneezes now that I have a baby. It is crucial. I definitely woke up both of our children as infants every time I sneezed. Or if they were awake, I would just spook them and they would start crying. So, yeah. I tried to hold them in. I can't do it. It's not possible, but good luck to you though. I've heard that the year you have a newborn, parents lose between 450 and 750 hours of sleep that year. And I believe it. It's like 2 hours a night of sleep that you lose with a baby on average.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah. I remember just feeling like an absolute zombie for like several months.
I don't remember feeling like a zombie. I remember feeling like I was like living someone else's life. Like I was just not where I should be. I felt removed and distant.
Yeah.
And
It's like a surreal experience.
Like I felt like myself, but I felt out of place,
For sure.
like environmentally.
Yeah. Especially as the dad, because you're like an accessory to the whole situation.
Yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah. Like I will try my hardest, but I'm definitely the support character in this play. Anyway, good luck to you.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. My kids are much older now, and I'm very glad for that. All right. That's it for feedback we got this week. Let's talk about new stuff.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. I wasn't expecting that.
I'm excited.
Okay. All right. Well, first thing that I have to talk about is a Sailor pen.
No!
I know it's weird. Sailor doesn't come out with a lot of new stuff. But they got something.
I was talking about the pen.
This one. Oh, the King of Pens. No. NOH. Fountain pen. Hagamoro. Limited edition. So, this is a baller pen. It looks pretty incredible. We only have one. It may already be gone. So my apologies if that is the case. But Glenn did a great job photographing it. So if y'all get a chance to check it out, it looks stunning. The detail on it is pretty sick. It's Makie Irushi, as they do. It's $4,000 for the pen, so it's definitely up there. But knowing how long it takes to do that work, and it's so crazy. Like he was showing me some of the detail, like the pictures he took. I mean, he was zoomed in, I think, at like 1,600% on these pens, and even still, like the shell that kind of like goes in a loop, like it's a little cloud or something like that, was like perfectly rounded. And I could tell in the details of the shell that there's like lines that go across that like go continuous from one little strip of shell to the other, which means that is all from one piece of shell that they cut, placed all next to each other. So that means that when the artist is making that pen, if he screws up one of those little strips, he's got to start over and do them all over again. So it's just like, oh my gosh, like the detail on this thing is so out of this world. So there's only 32 of these pens worldwide, but if you get a chance to check out our pictures, just go look at it. It's pretty wild. And then on another end of the spectrum, we got a new pen from Retro 51. This is called the Nautilus, and this is the Big Shot. So Big Shot Tornado. So if you're familiar with the regular, basically everything else we've ever sold with Retro 51, it's been one particular size. Well, this is a bigger, heavier version of that. It's not for everybody, and they really have a limited selection of which pens they do in a Big Shot.
This is the first time we've ever been able to carry a Big Shot.
I mean, we've had like regular editions that we've had access to, but we haven't had a lot of demand.
We haven't carried a Big Shot before.
We haven't carried them, but I've had one in my personal collection ever since we started carrying retro. And so I always thought it was pretty cool, but we haven't had like a new interesting Big Shot to try out.
I held one yesterday. It's not that much heavier.
Yeah, it's more
really
just like
not.
The size.
Yeah, it's very comfortable.
Yeah, the length is about the same. It's just the girth.
Yeah.
But it's cool because this has got the acid etched, Nautilus design, very kind of steampunk.
Yeah.
And it looks really good. It's got like that antique brass kind of a look to it. So if you're interested in that, $74.50, go check it out. Use the same refill as all the other retros. So if you wanted a bigger retro and think this one's cool, it's worth a look. All right, Drew, what do you got?
A new BENU brand.
A new BENU
brand. This is a Euphoria. It is an exclusive to the Goulet Pen Company.
What?
It is part of our ongoing refreshment series where we take drinks and snacks and fun little desserty things and turn them into a pen with the help of the brilliant, brilliant people over at BENU. This one, we did another tea. So on the heels of Earl Grey, on the heels of it's another tea, and it is matcha, but it's matcha latte. So we did incorporate some white. to make it look a little bit more like the iced caramel latte that people seem to have enjoyed quite a bit. So you get all of that happening. You get your tea and your coffee kind of combined into a nice swirly, delightful color. They did a marvelous job matching the green to the actual color of matcha. But you'll notice here, looking at the pictures, that the trim ring on the base of the cap as well as the grip section do look slightly different. And that is because BENU went a step above and they said, hey, we actually sent this other one to you. Here's a demo we did where we actually used actual matcha powder to color certain parts of the pen. Do y'all like that? And we said,
we're like, yeah. That's incredible.
Go do that for us, please, and thank you. So that's what we did. So the one that we ended up choosing is the one that has the grip and the trim ring colored with actual matcha powder. So you are getting a little bit of, one really cool thing that BENU has been doing with the tea pens is incorporating the actual tea leaves in them in the case of Earl Grey. Here, actual matcha powder in the case of the matcha latte. That's something that they usually just do with the Talisman, incorporating the actual item in there.
Right.
But they're really giving us a double whammy here. I think you'll like it. Please check it out. We're super excited about it. We think it looks really great, and we hope you do too.
It's awesome. Go BENU. All right, that's it for new stuff for right now, but there's plenty else that's coming all the time. You can check out our new arrivals and coming soon section on our website if you want more information. Let's do a couple quick company updates, shall we? All right, well, Drew's got a new video out this week on purple pens. So yeah, if you're into purple pens, go check that out. We've done a bunch of colors now. You did brown, I did blue, you did green.
I did green.
Purple now.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Is that all we've done?
That's all.
I did demonstrator.
Oh, you did demonstrator. That counts?
Does that count as a color?
Yeah.
Is demonstrator a
You can
color?
select it as a filter in the color section of our website.
Okay. There you go. Arbitrary boundaries.
Love it.
I like that. So yeah, go check that out if you haven't seen it already. We are going to, as you're watching this, it's probably already happened, but we have a half day coming up for our company. It's a mental health half day. So we're closing up shop a little bit early. We're all going and doing mental healthy things. And we'll talk about what we're going to plan on doing later in the What's Happening section. And we're doing a little, what do you call this thing? Like a meal
Nonprofit
packing.
Volunteer event.
Yeah, there's a local organization called Rise Against Hunger. We've volunteered with them several times before, basically packing up meals for,
Other countries
in distress. So we put together these meal kits. It's like a company event. We all do it. It's a kind of a bonding thing. So we'll be doing that Thursday this week. So that should be a good time and also help people. So that's what we got going on right now. And let's get into the Q&A, shall we? All right.
All right, Brian.
What you got for me?
Julian Gunther
Hello.
is asking this.
Okay.
You both seem to possess a ton of different inks. Where and how do you store them? You keep the boxes? Do you keep some of the bottles on display on your desk? Or do you put some of them away in order to avoid UV light? Do you use plastic bottles or only ones made of glass?
You want me to go first?
Why isn't my name as cool as Julian Gunther?
That is a cool name.
That is cool.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a chef.
That's
Julian
a good
Gunther.
chef name. Yeah, that's a good chef name. Yeah.
Yes, please go first.
Okay.
I don't have actually a lot to say about this one.
Yeah, I'm more of the ink hoarder.
You are.
You're the ink sampler.
You're the more of the hoarder in general.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably accurate. Not probably. It's definitely accurate. Okay, so ink. For me, so we actually have a process. I mean, I'm a special case for a lot of different reasons, but especially when it comes to like pens and ink and notebooks for that matter, I guess. But I'm sort of the historian, librarian of limited editions and exclusives and things like that. Partly because I just naturally want to hoard anyway, but also we just do callbacks and references and we're referring back to stuff all the time. We're developing, new products, so we want to refer back to other things that have been done. So I am more inclined to hang on to inks, even if I don't ever plan to use them. I plan to just have them and be able to refer back to them. And I have done that from time to time. So basically the way that I store them is sort of partially on display and partially stored away. So I have a variety of different brands. Some inks come out with a lot more colors than others. So if it's a standard, regularly offered ink, I'm maybe not as inclined to actually keep a full bottle of it, unless it's something I use a lot. I use Noodler's Black to do the nib nook, so that I always have on hand.
Blue water ice.
Blue water ice. But that actually, Robert Oster sent me like 100 ml bottle of that because he knows I go through it so much.
I did not know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, he's cool like that. So, special treatment, I guess. But even still, I have a 30 ml bottle of it too that I had been using previously. It's one of the few inks that I've actually killed a bottle and used more. Other things like I try to keep like a somewhat of a standard ink for all the major brands, because if I'm like doing a video using a pen, if it's a new Pilot pen or something like that, I'm generally going to want to use Iroshizuku to show that pen off. So I have a few different Iroshizukus. Konpeki, of course, is like my go-to. But then I've got some of that with like some sailors and other things too. I like to just have some like standard popular inks that show well on video for that purpose. But then basically most of the rest of my collection is special editions, limited editions, things that are good to have for like historical reference. And those I'm probably not actually using very often. So I don't really need them like out and accessible on my desk, because my desk is a kind of a waking nightmare most of the time anyway. Whenever we have a video shoot, it looks really clean. And then each like hour, each day that goes by, more and more stuff just collects on my desk. Sometimes it's me that's doing it. Sometimes it's just product samples come in and mail and all kinds of stuff.
My desk suffers the same fate, except mine doesn't have to get cleaned off when we do videos.
This is true.
So like I'll come back from lunch and there will just be like stuff there,
a box of stuff and a bunch of inks and
samples.
Yep. Yes, that's a unique thing that we deal with that most other people probably don't face. But for me, again, it's like I need it to be somewhat accessible, most of the inks that I have. But pretty much everything I keep the Noodler's Black that I have in my desk drawer, because if I need a nib nook, it's like right there. But pretty much everything else I have up on a bookshelf. So it is on display, like it's there. I group it together by brand. So some brands are easier to store than others because they're in like nice cube squared boxes. Others are not so easy to store like that. Like Diatramentis, for example, doesn't come in a box at all. And it's a rounded shape that you can't stack them or anything like that. So there's
Robert Oster too.
Yeah. Robert Oster is kind of like that too. Yeah, exactly. You can't really stack them. So I do, it would be more convenient if I could like alphabetically organize them or whatever, but that just gets out of hand quickly. So I basically I have like 2 bookshelves where it's like taken up pretty much half of those bookshelves. So you can consider that like one full 6-foot tall bookshelf. And then I have a shelf that I built above my pen cabinets that's probably 6 feet long. Yeah, 6 feet, 7 feet long, about 12 inches deep, that has inks stored on it. And then some of them have like little like, what do you call them? Like little, stands, I guess, like little shelves. Risers, yeah, something like that. It's like, so I have a layer of inks, and then I have, it's another surface with like little legs on it, so it can just like float about. I don't know, why can't I figure out what those are called?
I would call it a riser.
A riser, sure. So it gives me like another layer of shelf, basically. Particularly for those brands that you can't stack the inks, it's helpful to have those. So I basically have all of my inks more or less out on display, but I do keep everything in its box. So for brands like Diatramentis or maybe others that, Robert Oster, that don't have any packaging, they, I guess, are getting exposed to some sunlight. They're not stored near a window, and I have blinds and stuff like that I close when.
And we have a film on our windows too.
We do, yeah. We
so
have
that adds some UV protection.
But even still, like the lights that we have, there's some UV that comes from those and all that. So I mean, there is some exposure, but in my experience, just like with some casual office lighting, with like bottles of ink that's stored like in a bookshelf, so it's kind of like somewhat darkened anyway, I haven't noticed any like major color changes happening. I'm sure if I wanted to be like fully, whatever strict about that, I would like store it completely in the dark. But I don't know. I don't have a good system for what that would even look like to store all this in the dark. Because I thought about getting like, like a cabinet, sort of like I have for the pens, but for ink. But some ink bottles are really tall and other, and it gets really difficult to do that. So I don't bother. I just do it on bookshelves. So that's more or less me. So I do keep all the boxes. Yes. I don't so much have so many bottles on display. I do have a couple of bottles on display that are like in the shelving that's behind us in the videos. And those I don't use. They're there literally just for display. I could use them, I guess, but those are out. And then do we use plastic bottles or only ones made of glass? I don't distinguish. If I want to use the ink, I'm going to use whatever it comes in. I mean, glass is nice, but I actually like the Robert Oster and the Diamine 30 ml bottles because they're plastic, because I can keep it in my backpack when I travel, especially because it's only 1 ounce bottles. So I can bring those on a plane. It's not an issue. I don't have to worry about them breaking. The Diamine one, yeah. The Robert Osters are small enough too. They're under 2 ounces or whatever the thing is. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't bring the big Robert Oster one with me, but the other ones are small enough where I haven't had an issue bringing those around. Cool. Yeah. How big are those now? Those are 50 mil. Okay, yeah, so they're still under 2 ounces. I've never had a problem flying with those. Cool. So it's just nice because, you've seen my backpack before. I have all kinds of stuff in there, and it's just nice to be able to keep ink in there that I don't have to think about taking it out, depending
we talked
on where
about
I'm going.
At one point doing a kind of another like a mystery pen segment, but have me grab several old weird
inks. Yeah, we could do that.
There's some interesting ones out there.
Yeah, just to not to blindfold me and
no, you can't guess.
That would be really hard.
No,
or stick just my finger in the ink and be like, that feels yellow.
Tell the story behind some of the more oddball inks you have.
Yeah, that would be fun, right? Because I got some cool stuff.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do
that
one day.
I'd be down for that. Okay.
I don't deal with bottled ink. I'm a sample man through and through.
Really? No bottled ink?
I mean, I have some, but
what do you have? Do you know?
Oh, just random. I have a grenade of buttered popcorn for sure.
Okay. I was going to say, you got to have that.
I absolutely do have buttered popcorn. Mm-hmm. But no, I have one of those Pilot Blue from the 823 boxes ended up on my desk, and I kept that. But I'm like, I don't use it. It just kind of sits there. So
you definitely hang on to that.
I mean, why? It's just
because you can't buy that bottle outside of getting it with the pen.
But it's just blue.
It's actually it's Namiki blue.
Yeah, I don't.
If you didn't know that, the Pilot Blue that comes with the 823, it's Namiki blue.
I will say I do have a bottle of Sailor 123 and 224 from Ink Studio.
Okay.
I snatched those up the week after Rachel was done with them, getting our assets done, and the week after I swabbed them, because I swabbed all 100 Ink Studio inks. Mm-hmm. That was my first big swab project that I was in charge of.
That was a project. It was 100 inks at once.
Those 2 inks, I'm like, mine. And I've been validated because those have been longtime favorites since then.
Yeah.
I did a video with 123 recently, and I did not even mention the fact that I call it rain fluff. I know. What's wrong with me?
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Losing your touch.
Stupid. Anyway.
Plastic or glass? Does that matter to you?
Not a bit.
No, not a factor.
Plastic sample vials.
Yeah, I guess you're dealing with plastic all the time anyway. Yeah. Do you ever carry ink around with you? Or
never.
So you just
carry I write here.
Yeah,
I don't write at home.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I mean, I sometimes do. I bring my laptop case with my 3 pens in them.
Yeah. But even 3 pens inked up, you can go quite a ways.
Yeah, and I'll journal sometimes, about take gardening notes. Mm-hmm. But it's very little. I do most of my writing here at work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely that way too, but I do write a decent amount at home. I will generally default to using a fountain pen for pretty much most of my purposes.
I use varsities at home.
Varsities are great.
We keep them on
they're great for keeping it
every
home.
surface.
For sure.
Yeah.
I got plenty of varsities around the house myself as well. There you go. So, I mean, not a lot to elaborate on this question, but yeah, definitely. It's definitely most ideal if you're going to be storing inks. If you're going to have them for a few years, I wouldn't stress too much as long as you're not storing it right by a sunny window or something. But if you want to keep it for 20 years and you want to really maintain the integrity of that ink, you really should keep it out of direct sunlight. Make sure it's not warm, keep it in a cool, dry place. And that's about all you can do. Make sure they're sealed well, but that's about it. All right. This is from Naughty
This says Naughty Librarian.
Naughty Librarian in Leet speak. Okay. I would love a breakdown or a deep dive. What's the difference between a breakdown and a deep dive?
A breakdown is when I do it. A deep dive is when you do it.
Oh, okay. So a deep dive is much longer and unnecessary. Okay. BENU Talisman versus the BENU Euphoria. I can't decide which one I should get, and I'm not sure my wallet can handle just getting both. All right, Drew.
Well,
need some guidance here.
First of all, don't let the model be the deciding factor. Like that, they're similar enough that
they are pretty similar.
The difference in what sort of facets one has or the other should not be the deciding factor. BENU has such crazy, interesting, unique designs and concepts and stories behind their pens. That should be the deciding factor. But nevertheless, we'll talk a little bit about the differences. So first of all, they have big differences in the theming. So Euphoria, that's one thing about BENU is they are very serious about their theming. There are plenty of fountain pen manufacturers who come up with a concept and say, this pen is inspired by yada yada, and we use this color to blah, blah, blah. BENU is pretty hard and fast about the Euphorias are all this sort of inspiration. The Talismans are all this sort of inspiration. When we first said, hey, we thought about doing an iced caramel latte and a cookies and cream milkshake and a what was the third one? The rainbow slushy. We're like, and we were thinking about a talisman. And they're like, no, can't do a talisman.
They're like, nope.
Because talismans are about good luck charms, about mythical good fortune talismans, and that sort of thing. They said, no, you want a Euphoria because Euphorias are those sweet pleasures of life, those little nuggets of joy that you find in your everyday that bring you smiles and elation. And we're like, oh, well, okay, a Euphoria sounds great then.
Yeah.
Like they take that seriously, and that is imbued in all of their designs. So in their words, the Euphoria, that's the faceted all-around one, is devoted to different sources of simple hedonistic pleasures, such as favorite music, a beautiful scene, an exquisite cocktail, or a delicacy, all of which they have in their library there.
Yeah.
So these are completely faceted all around, probably, a dozen, 2 dozen facets around there. So very minimal facets, little tiny thin facets. And then it is $157. For $176, just a little bit more, you have the Talisman, which in their words is inspired by myths and legends. The collection fuses elements believed to bring luck, protection, money, or love. And both of these have the same exact grip section. I actually tested it today. They are both interchangeable.
Yeah.
I knew they were very similar. I didn't know if they were exactly
the
the same, but yeah, they are indeed exactly the same. So as far as what your fingers are going to be experiencing, it's identical. And with just a 2-gram difference in the barrel, the Talisman being 12 grams the Talisman being 12 grams and the Euphoria being 15 grams. That's 3, Drew. Do the math. So yeah, the Euphoria is a little tiny bit heavier if your hand can differentiate 3 grams, which mine can't. I don't know. They're going to give you the same more or less writing experience. The Talisman is faceted, but they're intermittent, more scooped facets rather than just kind of the more uniform facets of the Euphoria. So pen-wise, blindfolded, you're not going to really tell a difference. Really not. It really is about what item, either a mythical good luck charm or a sweet treat, speaks to you. Yeah. And if you're wondering which model you should get, like maybe there hasn't been a BENU yet that has really called to you. But hang tight. One will eventually. That's how BENU gets you. Even if you're unsure, eventually they will decide to theme a pen after your favorite thing, and you'll be like, oh my God, BENU made this for me. So
yeah, they'll be like, oh, they did an ecto cooler.
Oh my God, how have I not thought about that yet?
I mean, I'm pretty sure trademarking, we couldn't get on that. But...
You know what's weird though? Ecto cooler, I think in its original form was orange.
Was it really?
It was, because it's a tangerine beverage.
Huh.
Yeah, I think later they came out with one like
the green one, right?
They did one for like the 2016 Ghostbusters or something, and they made it green. But I think originally it was orange.
Really? All of them? I thought it was green.
The ones from the 90s.
The ones from the 90s weren't green?
I don't believe so.
I never really got Ecto Cooler.
I saw a video of somebody drinking one from the 90s, like an old one, and it was kind of like this brownish orange. So who knows what color it was
Probably
originally.
because it was really old.
But it was a tangerine. It, like, in my mind, I'm like, tangerine, really? But yeah.
Huh.
It might have. So anyway, I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, I wouldn't want it to be orange. It would need to be green.
It's like one of those like false memories that everybody has.
Well, we never really took it out of the juice box.
I never really had them. I was aware of them, but
no, they were my lifeblood.
Yeah, I bet.
I lived on some Ecto Cooler. So yeah, that is it. The Talisman, good luck charms, all that. The thing I will say is that while earlier in the Pencast we did mention that some of the Euphorias do incorporate the element they are themed of, such as sprinkles or tea leaves or matcha powder. All of the talismans, all of them include the actual talisman itself. A legitimate little bits of four-leaf clover, not the four-leaf clover confetti. Like they sourced out, bought
actual four-leaf clover,
actual four-leaf clovers, put them in there. Foxglove, mandrake, edelweiss, all of that is actually physically in there. So when you're buying
green bean, they had coffee beans.
Those beans, they're like some weird psychedelic bean. I don't know what those were, but when you buy a talisman, you are actually buying the talisman itself because it is embedded in the pen. So if you believe that, whatever talisman does what it is purported to do, hey, can you really put a price on that? Fortune, good luck, love, money, I don't know. But you do get a little bit of a, double whammy with the talisman. So that's my take on the BENU versus the Euphoria versus the talisman.
Yeah. I think, you pretty well covered it. I think I generally prefer the Euphoria just a little bit more, like the shape of it. But the talisman is really cool. It's got that, extra element to it.
Yeah.
But really, it's just kind of whatever. If it's not like the meaning behind it that really strikes you, it's just whichever visually strikes you the most.
What is your favorite Euphoria that has
come our
way?
My favorite that we've ever done. Oh man, it's so tough. There's some really good ones. I really like the Earl Grey. I think that one might be the tops for me.
I think that it might be mine too.
Really?
It looks so good.
It does look really good.
Like it looks.
And there's a lot of depth to it too.
And it's very different. It really does stand on its own.
Yeah, it does.
In the Euphoria line.
It does.
I do have a soft spot for the confetti milkshake though.
Yeah?
I don't really love that pen for me. But I look at it and it makes me happy. Like I don't want to own it and write with it.
Yeah.
But I like looking at it. When it shows up, I'm like, hey, look at you with your sprinkles.
Yeah. I mean, I like the iced caramel latte too because I do love coffee.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's just a good looking pen. I like the ones sort of like the matcha where it's like a solid color and then like a white and they swirl together. I love that look. So anything in that kind of color range I really like, but I don't know. There's so much interesting stuff going on in the Earl Grey. I'm not a big fan of tea. I don't like Earl Grey tea.
Neither do I.
So it's not about the meaning of it. It's purely visually. I like it.
It smells like Fruit Loops and it gives me headaches.
It smells like Fruit Loops. Really?
Totally smells like Fruit Loops. Yeah.
I guess I haven't really drunk it, so I don't
Totally
know.
smells like Fruit Loops. Okay. But yeah, anything other than herbal tea, which I know some people think it's not really tea. I don't care. It gives me nausea. It doesn't give me headaches. It actually makes me sick in the stomach.
Really?
Yeah. It makes me very sad because I love tea, but it can make me nauseous for some reason.
Have you had matcha tea?
I've never had matcha.
Matcha is like a whole different thing going on.
Well, I suppose I should have some.
Super earthy taste. It's like it's like a powder. It's not really leaves.
So if I go lick one of our new BENU pens, do you think I'll get any, because it's colored with real matcha?
I don't know.
Maybe it's like a Tootsie Pop, and it's like, how many licks does it take to get to the actual matcha?
It might take you a while.
All right, well, I've got time.
Ingest a lot of microplastics.
I'm only 40. I'm in my prime.
Yes, because that's
time to lick some pens.
Yes, you're at the bottom of the hill. Is that because that's how the expression?
I'm at the top of the hill.
Yes.
It's only when you decide to roll down you're in trouble.
Oh, so right now you're at the peak.
The crescendo.
You're in peak physical conditioning.
That's right.
There you go.
Some sort of peak.
Because that's what everybody says.
Yep.
40 is your peak physical conditioning.
That's right.
Cool.
Are you ready for a question from Gray 2843?
Am I ready? I don't think so, but let's give it a shot.
All right. Well, Gray is asking, how can one improve their handwriting? And what's the best pen and notebook for practice?
That's a great question. Disclaimer, I am not a handwriting expert. I have hands that I write with. So I have a lot of experience writing with my hands, but I've never taught it. I've never been taught it officially. So I really had just the same opportunities and resources as anybody else.
Yeah, we generally don't wade too deep into the handwriting waters.
Yeah, I don't feel
for that
qualified at all.
For that reason, yeah. Like, whereas on the Pencast, we're fine kind of wading into those ignorance waters, as we see fit. But when we actually produce legit content where we're trying to help educate and bring insight, the handwriting thing is just a bit of a dead zone for us. Like,
yeah. I mean, I feel confident enough to say what I'm going to say today.
Yeah, you've got some stuff.
Yeah, I got a few things. So the first thing I will say is that it's very easy with any type of skill building that you're doing to think that if you have the right tools, if you have the right, whatever it is, that's going to make all the difference in your practicing. It's really not.
It's not. If I used Brian's tractor to take down that playset, something catastrophic would have occurred.
Yes, that would. Basically, the best tools are the ones that you actually use because it's more about the intentionality and it's more about the regularity of the practice that will improve your handwriting more than anything else. I mean, obviously having like some basic instruction is helpful. And the best resource that I know of for that basic instruction is Michael Saul's book, The Art of Cursive Penmanship, assuming you want to learn longhand, kind of cursive, American cursive. That's the best resource. It's like $20 for that book or something close to that. It's a very thorough book. It's got history in there. It talks about posture. It talks about all that. It's got practice sheets in there. So you could literally just buy that and use that as your practicing resource. And you could get pretty far with that. You can even like use a regular piece of paper over top of the practice sheets and you can still see the lines through the regular sheet of paper. So you can essentially practice infinitely.
Or Tomoe River 52 gram would probably be great for that.
There you go. That would be good too. So yeah, that is the best resource that I know of to improve that handwriting, assuming you want that sort of script. So that one's easy to recommend. I reflect back on before we got into the fountain pen thing, I was power washing houses and cleaning carpets with my dad. So I was an IICRC certified carpet cleaner and upholstery cleaner. Thank you very much. And basically people would ask us in between like carpet cleanings, like, oh, what's the best vacuum that I can buy? And I was like, literally the one that you're going to use. Like whatever vacuum you get, the power, the suction, whatever, none of that matters if you don't use it. So doesn't even matter the brand. You have to actually use it to clean your carpets. It's the same kind of thing. It's like a musical instrument. It's like, learning how to sew or whatever hobby that you're doing. I mean, whatever pen is going to make you want to pick that thing up and write with it, whatever you enjoy actually writing with, that is the most important thing. So you don't have to spend a lot. You don't have to get some crazy special thing. It's literally just a matter of what you have fun using and what feels good to you. I would be inclined to not use anything that's like too specialty of a nib. Just go with something fairly conventional and maybe go with like a medium nib, something that's going to be relatively smooth, not give you a lot of feedback because you want to, unless you like really prefer that. But this is something as you're practicing, you're going to be writing with it a pretty significant amount of time. So having something that's got, a generous flow, something you don't have to press hard, something you don't have to like vary your writing pressure or anything like that. Just something that's like reliable is pretty good. And that's, honestly like most fountain pens. So I think that if you're writing a lot for a long time like that, practicing, having a pen that is slightly larger in diameter, but not heavy is going to be the least fatiguing for your hand. Not that we're trying to plug this, but like BENU pens are actually not a bad way to go because they're relatively light. A lot of people like the Edison Collier. That's a really good one because it's pretty girthy. I think like the Delta pens, those also get pretty big and not super heavy. You wouldn't necessarily want to use something maybe like a Homo sapiens because it's like really dense and that might fatigue your hand a little bit if you're practicing like say it's a half hour a day or something like that, you're gonna start to feel it if it's a pen that's got a lot of weight to it. I would stick with something that's probably like under 30 grams.
The Ion actually is a pretty lightweight pen with a, interestingly wide grip section.
Yeah, it's got a pretty good diameter.
It's about the same as the width of the barrel. It doesn't taper a whole lot.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's very
Ion
light.
With like a medium
it's
or broad.
light.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad option. So yeah, there's a lot of good choices that you can get kind of in that range. But I mean, that's also up to you. If you have, if your hands are not super big, you can probably use whatever pens. Me, if I'm using a pen that's too thin, no matter what pen it is, my hand gets tired because I feel like I'm like having to kind of
pinching it.
Cramp it. Yeah, a little bit. I personally prefer smoother nibs. So for me, for any type of like handwriting practice type stuff, I personally find it easier to get a broader nib and then just write bigger. Like if you look at the actual like lettering that's in Michael Sull's book, the letters are big, like way bigger than you would write in your everyday life. That's going to help you to build more of that technique. Because if you're writing really, really small, then any fine movement you make is going to make it look all scraggly and stuff. And it's hard to build those muscles, because that's essentially what you're doing is you're trying to create muscle memory and then actually build up the muscles in your arm to be able to control the pen in those movements. So if you do that in slightly larger, movements, that's going to translate to those smaller movements as well. So I would maybe stick with a smoother, wetter nib to help with that. So nothing hyper specific, but that's what I got. Michael Sull's book, pretty much. Yeah.
I should take some time and go through that. I've never perused it really.
I've done it, but not with enough regularity to actually see improvement. But I've used the book enough to be like, oh yeah, this is like very legit.
With all that extra time you and I have, we should do like a long form video where we check in every day and write with it for like our 30 days with Michael Sull's book.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be great?
I mean, I've thought about that.
Go ahead and carve out some time for that.
Why not?
Yeah.
We all have 24 hours in a day, Drew. No excuses. Yeah. I have thought about that, but it's also like,
I know, me too.
I know.
I'd like to.
It's that's a lot, but much credit to those who are willing to do that. But I can say even just like not having like formal intentional practice, my handwriting has definitely improved over the years just by writing on a fairly regular basis and, writing longhand and trying to do it so that my handwriting looks decent.
Yeah, it just, if you choose to do it, if you figure out what you want to change and you just practice at changing one letter at a time, that's all I've ever done. And it's pretty quick. Like just recently I said, I'd like to have better R's. And I just, did a few of them. And that's really all it took. And then now all of them are like that. So, but I've thought that for years and just never even really tried or bothered. Yeah. Like I still don't bother with cursive G's. I still do a big old print G.
Really?
But I know that if I...
Uppercase or lowercase?
Uppercase.
Okay.
If I just took a second and reminded myself how to do a cursive G, it would be fine. I'd be like, oh, well, why didn't I do this sooner? Like it just... One little baby step is all it takes. And you can take it letter by letter. If you know that a couple letters are solid, but you really have a problem with one particular letter, just do that letter a bunch of times. You'd be surprised at how fast your brain will say, you know what, we're good now.
Yeah, that's actually the way his book lays it out, is you start like one letter at a time. Yeah. Uppercase, lowercase, and then it starts to put a couple common letters together because you're linking them and stuff like that. And then it gets to the point where you're writing whole words. So yeah, definitely if you had practiced nothing else, even without the resources, just practice one letter over and over and over again and focus on consistency, because that's actually the thing that makes handwriting look the best.
Oh yeah, I'm terrible with that.
Is consistency. Like in the slant too, you got to slant it to the right.
Oh yeah,
that's
where I'm garbage.
Yeah. But he explains all that in the book, so definitely worth checking it out. Yeah, my consistency is not the best myself either, but with practice, that would help with that for sure. All right, Drew, you ready?
Yes.
Edo Doe 613 says, Drew!
Hey!
With an exclamation. As consideration for an upcoming Q for you both to A,
hey!
I've lately seen a lot of fountain pen peeps talking about culling large collections, changing their minds about culling large collections. Should they feel guilty? Feel pleased? We know you essentially said a 10-pen collection could cover all the bases. This is referring to your hot takes video recently. What I think is that those who have big collections would love if Brian was the patron saint. How many fountain pens does Brian own personally? Even a ballpark figure may assuage their anguish, and I think we'd all be impressed. You are both just the very best, by the way. Well, thank you. Very kind words with lots of punctuation.
Yes, thank you.
All right, what do you think, Drew?
So yeah,
You stand by that? The 10 pen thing?
Here's the thing.
Which pens are you getting rid of, huh?
Ed O'Doe worded it properly, where she says that I said that a 10 pen collection could cover all the bases, which is all I said.
Okay.
I did not say it should. I've got like 70 freaking pens. I don't care that much. So apparently that hot takes video published around a time where there was a trend talking about collection and culling collection, and it just kind of stoked that trend a little bit. We got some response videos.
Were you aware of that when we published it, or was it after the fact?
We recorded it like
we recorded
a month
that
ago.
Weeks in advance. Yeah. We had no idea.
No, I just was like, and how long had I been keeping my list of hot takes? It had been like a year.
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, once I get like 5 of these, I'll do a video on them.
Yeah.
So like that's all I did.
Right.
So
it's so funny that it happened to be like in the ether. Yeah.
That's interesting.
It looks very intentional, but in fact,
also, if at the beginning of the video, I literally said, "Don't take anything I'm about to say seriously." But whatever, it's a hot take. If it didn't create some conversation, then that means the takes weren't very hot, right?
But if you say, "Don't take anything I say seriously," they should not take that sentence seriously.
Maybe that was my problem.
But if they do take that seriously, then they're not taking it seriously, but they are.
Time paradox.
That's a paradox. You created a paradox right at the beginning of the video. That's why. That's why it's open interpretation, Drew.
But yeah, I do not believe in any way that anyone should have any sort of collection. I don't think you should have 10. I don't think you should have 20. I don't think you should have 1,000. You should.
I disagree.
Have what you want. You do agree with that, though, right?
What?
Have what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no should be this way or should be that way, or you should. You should only have.
Who's saying you should or shouldn't do anything?
No one. We're talking about fountain pens here. Like. Nothing matters. Like, this is such a, optional thing. So, no, I don't believe you should have 10. I don't believe you should have any more or less than what you already have. I think you should have what makes you happy. Because, Lord knows, I have a bunch of video games that are sitting around not doing anything, a bunch of coins, a bunch of comics, a bunch of, I have a toy accordion, for Christ's sake. Like, it's not, like, I have so much useless crap that I feel very passionate about. Like, I'm not going to sit here and judge anybody for their collections. Like, no, not happening. I was trying to say that you could cover a lot of the fountain pen user bases with 10 pens.
You could get like a well-rounded fountain pen experience with 10 pen collection.
I thought that was clear. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know.
I think people heard what they wanted.
Either way. Whatever.
You're proud of it. It's called hot takes.
Yeah,
people are going to be ready for a hot take.
That's fine. But no. Honestly, love what you have. If you would be happier with fewer pens, then great. Seek your happiness. If you don't have enough pens and you are still seeking that 999th, choice, then go for it. If that is the light at the end of your tunnel, more power to you. Tally ho, sally forth, get those pens, all of them. But just be happy. Obviously, still pay your mortgage, still, take care of your family, but
yeah, it should never come at the sacrifice of other things.
The way things are in the world right now, seek your happiness. If that's what is gonna fill your joy, void, fill that joy void, please.
Joy void.
And if you buy them from the Goulet Pen Company, then that's even better. But yeah, obviously, I'm not gonna.
Better for us, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not as a retailer. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, no, that's too many pens. Like, come on, seriously.
I mean, there's like anything else. There's reasonableness to be to be had.
Sure.
We are not an example of reasonableness.
No,
because like. The proportion of our waking life that is dedicated to fountain pens and fountain pen usage, of course, is going to have a great influence on our interest and desire to attain more fountain pens. That makes sense.
Yes, we're also excitable people. They like to go down rabbit holes.
Yes.
Now, I will say, as far as will I or do I feel the need to cull my own collection, 70 pens is probably more than I need, for sure. And I don't write with the majority of them. Mm-hmm. I don't feel the need to get rid of any of them, though.
Clear on my yeah.
I really don't.
No?
But what I might do, and I've kind of done this accidentally, this question actually kind of prompted me to take this a little bit more seriously. I might partition my collection, Brian.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So what I might do is I tend to be drawn to the same, about maybe 10 to 15 pens out of my out of my 70
It's like
pens.
an 80-20 rule that applies to pens. 20% of your collection will get 80% of the usage.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's already kind of happening. But I do personally, a lot of people might not be this way, but I do feel bad for the pens that I'm not using. But if I either physically or just mentally partition my collection into collection pens and kind of active pens, I suspect I might feel a little bit better about them. Because I have bought pens.
Why do you feel bad for the ones you don't use? That's
just
curious to me. Because you're not alone in that.
No, I'm not. I think that
they're pens. They don't feel anything.
No, but I do kind of personify them a little bit. Just
yeah.
I think so. I don't think that oh, this is Bob, this is Carl, this is Susan, But
right.
I do. I guess it's also kind of like I don't want to feel wasteful. I know that there are a lot of people that I have some pens. I'm like, somebody would just love this pen. Somebody this might be all they need. Like I've got a 743. That I don't use very often. And I'm like, this is a fantastic pen. If this pen went to somebody who only had, a Metro and an Explorer, how happy would that person be? So I feel like I'm kind of doing...
You're going to get a lot of comments now about I'll take that pen.
Right. I feel like I'm doing somebody and then it's just not fair. If I have that, I should be using it, So it's more like hey, finish your plate. There's starving people in the world.
I was
sort of thing.
Yeah, that's very much like how we were raised as kids.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that going on.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that I'm, using them. So, but if I reframe and say, no, you know what? I bought this pen. I want this pen. I love this pen, but it's just not one that I'm going to actively use all the time. And that's okay. Yeah. I might just kind of reframe, maybe have two different cases or something like that, where I have my actives and my collection that I just open up and be like, and I bask in my, in my vista.
You might go through phases too. You know what I mean?
There are some, but then there are some that I just never use.
You're you're never gonna enjoy it.
Take example for a lot of my large reservoir pens.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you what, my Conid bulk filler I have used one time.
Really?
Because I never want to ink that up. I like playing with it too much. So I know that thing's never going to get inked up. It's just not.
But you're using it. You're just fiddling with it.
Exactly. But that's a collection pen.
Yeah.
That's not an active pen.
That makes sense.
So I need to just kind of
those pens are hard to come by too. So it's
are.
kind of special to, you can't just buy another one.
And as much as I love my Visconti Divina Desert Sands, it's hard to clean. It's got a little tiny ink window, but I can't get up in there and clean it.
Yeah.
So
the material's beautiful though.
It is. I love the pen. I will never get rid of that pen.
I mean, it's a collectible.
It is. And I think that if I just kind of mentally partition or physically partition my collection to kind of illustrate that, I think that'll get me to a place where I can be kind of happy with the moderation of my collection without having to, quote unquote, cull anything. And it's different for everybody. Some people might actually feel the need, I need to sell some of these. I could sell a bunch of these and maybe get one nice pen, for these, 100 Metropolitans that I have somehow accumulated, and we're talking about 5 repeat colors there. So, and it also might make it easier to select a pen to use. If it is from a smaller pool, if I have 10 to 15 actives, I'll be I'll just look at those and say, all right, which one of you am I going to take out
sounds like
today?
You kind of already do.
In a way, but I still open up my 40 pen case. I'm like, oh God.
Oh yeah. Now you're having to make a choice out of the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. In effect, that's kind of what I've ended up doing because I literally don't have the option to store them all in one viewable way. So they're already partitioned, by drawer in each of the cabinet. But then I have my pens that I sort of carry around with me, and then I have others. So I'll cycle those through sometimes. And I've got pens that I've gotten in my pen stand that's on my desk as well. Those are sort of in transit. I have many different uses and partitions for the various pens.
But I have my old Aston 10 case, and I'm thinking maybe I'll just to experiment, maybe I'll put 10 of my favorite most used fountain pens in there and be these are the ones I use.
Greatest hits.
And exactly.
It's the greatest hits album.
And just see how that feels.
Okay.
I don't know.
That seems good. And then you don't have to open up and look at all of them.
Yes. Unless
every time.
that's just what I want to do. Unless I'm like, I'm going to go look at my stuff.
Yeah, but then it's serving a different purpose.
Exactly.
You're just like, let me look
Exactly.
at and appreciate these things.
Different purpose. Exactly.
Yeah, it is a different purpose. And that's where I think like pens, especially fountain pens, right? Like they do serve multiple purposes. They're not strictly a pure utilitarian object, highly
They can
commoditized.
be if you want them to be, but then they
Well, there are some that have more of that flavor to them.
for sure.
But honestly, like that's what other like disposable pens are that you get at like the bank and wherever else.
Brian K.
Promotional pens and things like that.
Brian K. once told me, if you want the ultimate in reliability, get chalk. Like that's about as utilitarian as it gets.
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
fountain pens are not that. We buy them for more than just to write with.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think, especially because fountain pens themselves are such an intentional writing tool.
And personal.
Yeah, and personal. They're already serving a special purpose in that way, but then there's so much more to it. Like it already serves a higher purpose to anyone who's using it because of the intentionality of how you're selecting it. So you are going to care about the color and the style and the meaning behind it and the material it's made of, all that stuff. You're going to appreciate that more than you would pretty much any other pen. So, for me, since I'll transition into the latter 4 or 5 questions that we had in this thing, me being the patron saint of having too many pens, probably, I don't think I have the biggest collection out there, but I'm probably in the top 1%.
Probably.
There are fountain pen users.
There are people out there that have been collecting longer than we've been alive. So
yeah, absolutely. There's people, especially people who are like intentionally I don't consider myself a collector. I'm an acquirer.
I would agree with that.
You know what I mean?
You don't
it's
seek out a lot of pens. Like
I mean,
have you ever even bought a pen off eBay?
Yeah, I
have?
bought a couple, and I bought some at pen shows and stuff like that. But most of those have been to get like a specific pen, not to like round out a collection. Does that make sense?
It does.
Like I wanted a Pilot M90. Those are hard to come by. I found one at a pen show.
You should still round out your Safari collection because you're so close to having them.
There's so many regional ones.
Oh, no, not those.
Stuff like that. You know what I realized the other day? I'm so mad at myself. For whatever reason, the strawberry and the cream ones, I totally missed those. I don't have those in my collection.
Really?
Yep. Kicking myself. We don't have them anymore either. So now I've got to like go track them down somewhere.
Come on. Those aren't even like good ones.
Everything's such a blur since COVID.
Oh.
Yeah. Unless I think.
That is so weird.
I know. And usually.
Are they not at home?
No, I don't think so. It's not in my spreadsheet or anything. I think I just missed them.
That is hilarious. Like such a random. Oh man.
I know. It's because I was shooting a video and I wanted to reference one of them, and I was like, "Where is this thing?" And I was like, "Let's check my spreadsheet and everything." I was like, "I think I just totally missed those two. Darn it!" And I do have some like studios that I've missed as well and stuff like that. But some of those is like I didn't intend to start collecting these things, but then like I think
maybe one of our competitors is going to see an order from Brian Goulet come in pretty soon.
If anybody's still got strawberry and cream, yeah. I mean, it was last year's? Was it last year's special editions?
No, I think it was
a couple of years ago. I think it was like 2022 maybe, or 2021.
I think it might have been. I don't know.
It wasn't 2020. That was the
COVID blur.
That was last year was the
blue Aquaski. Yeah, I was going to say Blueski. Spring
green.
Yeah.
And then before that, I just did a video on that too. So anyway, but so my collection currently is over 1,200 pens, which is a lot. That's too many. It's too many pens for sure. But they do serve a very different purpose for me. Like it's like an archive.
It's a library.
It's like a library, like a referenceable archive. Yeah. And yes, we do have images of many of those pens, but a lot of times we need to reference them and compare them for things that are hard to convey in a photograph, like weight and texture and, grip and like all these types of things. So, that's how I justify it anyway. Yes, could I pare down my collection? For sure. I could pare down quite a bit if I wanted to kind of scalpel it and
right. But if you took out the pens that you just bought for Brian Goulet to write with, Like, you're not going to have that many.
Oh no, I would have more like a collection that a reasonable person would have.
Yeah, probably somewhere
You know
around
what I
like
mean?
where mine is.
Yeah, probably like 50 pens.
Yeah.
Maybe, which is still a lot.
Yeah.
But I would have, well, even those, like, I don't know, the ones that I actually write with, kind of like daily carry write with, it's a relatively small number. Like it's not 3, but it's closer to that than 1,200 for
Yeah.
sure. It's probably, I think, how many pens can one person use, reasonably, like on a regular rotation?
That's what we're talking about.
It's, I probably use the same 5 pens pretty regularly.
Yeah, there you
or
go.
I'll cycle through maybe 5 pens at a time.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of pens inked up because, like we just shot a video last Friday and I inked up like, I don't know, half a dozen pens.
Yeah, same.
To do that. So now it's like, I got to clean all those out.
Yeah,
and they all have the same ink because I had to do it that way for the video.
Yeah, I have 8 inked up right now for last week's video.
Yeah. And it's like, I got to
But you know what? A lot of them were Lamy Safaris with 1.5s. I love that nib.
Okay. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I was reminded like how much I enjoy writing
Yeah.
with that thing.
Yeah.
And I never reach for Safaris either or All Stars.
Yeah.
But every time I pick it up, I'm like, this is what I
a good
started
one.
with. I
Yes,
love
the OG.
Oh yeah.
There
So
you go.
good.
There you go. Let's see what else. Did I have any other things? Yep, it's too many. Nope. Yep, that's it.
All right.
So, I don't know. I'm not the best example, but I have justifications for all my pens.
More or less, do what you want, people.
Yeah. As long as it's not disrupting other parts of your life. Like
Yes.
if you are struggling to afford more essential things in your life because of your pen collection, that's a problem and you should call the collection because then that's a disordered priority. But if it brings you joy and it's within your discretionary budget, go nuts. Who can fault you?
As long as you're writing and you're happy, we're happy too.
And the other thing too about like the reason I don't feel as bad with fountain pens, like they're not going to go bad. You know what I mean? Like they're clean. They're just sitting there. Even if I pass and my kids get them, they're still going to write just as well as they do today. So it's not really like wasting or going bad. It's just, essentially there for posterity. So
Yeah.
I don't feel quite as bad about that. It's not like I'm
Absolutely.
throwing them in the garbage, right?
Not yet.
All right.
All right, question number 5. We've got a twofer, a very interesting twofer.
Okay.
And I combined these because they both have nothing to do with each other and everything to do with each other.
Ooh.
Yes. So
Titillating.
Sister Golden Hair says, best pens to put a Goulet number 6 stub into? And MJ Wallach says, will BENU ever offer a stub nib?
How about those two questions?
How about that? One person saying, what's the best pen for a Goulet number 6 stub nib? And another person saying, why doesn't BENU have a stub nib option?
Well, there you go. Number 6. So our nibs are Yovo, which will fit Yovo and Bach number 6s, as well as maybe some others. But like when you get into like Pilot and Lamy and Sailor and all that, they are proprietary nibs. They don't really swap with any others. But there's a whole group of pens that, Edison and Franklin Christoph and BENU and, TWSBI, where they're essentially the same dimensions on these nibs. And if you want to, you can swap the nibs out between them. And not everybody offers a stub because stubs can be kind of hit or miss. They're not the most popular size. I feel like when we started this business, they definitely weren't that popular. And then they started to rise more in popularity. And then I feel like they, waned a little bit in popularity. I think they're now more kind of in a trough. I don't feel like as many people are using stub nibs as they used to. Even just like gold nib pens with stub, there's not many of them.
No.
Really not many of them that we have available. And that's a pretty good gauge for what might be available. So, they're great though. I think they're great, especially if you are trying to make your handwriting look better. There's a pro tip. Just use a stub nib and your handwriting will pretty much automatically look better.
Also, if you like shading, spoiler alert, they're great for that.
There you go. That is also true. So let's see here. I need to actually check because
So
I need to
BENU
make
has
sure I know what we even
Schmidt
offer.
nibs on their pens, which are, very nicely compatible with Yovo number 6 steel nibs as well.
Yeah, they're basically the same as Bach and Yovo. Are they the only ones that have those Schmidt ones on there? Like those Schmidt, like they're like Schmidt branded ones,
Yeah,
right?
they are.
They might be the only ones.
I mean, that
I
we
can
carry,
think of.
I think.
I mean, I'm sure other people get them like white labeled.
Yeah.
So we have the 1.1 millimeter stub, which is pretty common. Like that's, if you're going to see a stub offered from a pen company, that's the one that you're probably going to see.
And it's also the most friendly to kind of standard ruled paper. Like as far as using a stub within the confines of normal ruling, a dot grid or a line, 1.1s, you're still going to be okay. You're not going to need to adjust your writing all that much.
You'll struggle a little bit on like a dot grid paper, like a 5 millimeter ruling, but if you got a like 7 or 8 millimeter ruling, it's going to fit comfortably in there.
And if you are with a 5 millimeter dot ruling, if you kind of turn it so that rather than doing a lot of downstrokes where your downstrokes are wide and your cross strokes are thin, you can angle a little bit so that the opposite is true, and you can save yourself a little bit of space.
This is true. Yeah, even just by like turning the paper underneath you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Nice little hack. Yeah. So BENU does not offer a stub stock on their pens.
Nope.
I don't know that I've ever seen a Schmidt stub, so maybe like Schmidt doesn't do stubs.
I don't know.
I'm not totally sure on that. But anyway, so you can take a Yobo number 6 and put it on a Schmidt number 6 perfectly fine. You'll have to keep the feed intact and align it and all that kind of stuff, but it should fit just fine. So BENU actually is a really good candidate for that, which sort of MJ Malowicki, that answers your question right there. But will they ever offer a stub nib themselves from the factory, so to speak? I don't know. We haven't really asked them about it. We haven't gotten a whole ton of demand for it, so I don't know if they get demand from other regions of the world, or if it's even an option. Maybe it's not even an option with their sourcing of their current nibs.
I don't know.
So that's curious. I don't know. We can keep that in mind. Maybe ask them about it one day. Or if y'all comment, that you would really want to see that. I mean, it's kind of annoying, admittedly, to like buy a pen and then have to buy a nib, basically from another brand and then shoehorn it on there.
But it's not like, at least the BENU nibs aren't branded BENU, so
true.
It's less disruptive to the aesthetic.
Yeah, it would still look good, you know. But yeah, in order to get that stub, you have to go through some extra steps. So I get it. It's kind of annoying. But then other pens that are good to put a number 6 stub onto, it used to be that there were a lot more options, that this worked really well, which is why we originally got our own nibs in the first place. Now it feels like it's a little more limited.
Definitely.
So it's not as popular as it used to be. We don't move quite as many nibs as we used to back in the day. But that's fine. Plenty of people still do it, and we like having that option. So BENU's a good one. Jinhao, any Jinhao number 6s, those are pretty good. And those are good because we don't usually have an extensive collection of nib sizes available on a Jinhao. It's usually just like a medium or fine, and that's it. So being able to offer nib size, not just stubs, but other nib sizes, broads and extra fines and stuff, that's really helpful too. So that's good. Edison, they're doing Yovo as well. The TWSBI VAC 700R, so that's a bigger nib on that pen. The like 580 and the Eco and all that stuff, they use smaller nibs. So the 580, I think you could use a number 5 Goulet nib on there. And I believe we have a stub, right? Goulet nib. I gotta look at our number 5 options.
That one's not as close
we do have stubs
fit as the VAC is to a number 6.
Yeah, it's
but I've seen it done.
Slightly different, but it's doable. And we have a 1.1 stub and a 1.4 millimeter stub on those number 5 nibs. Whereas the number 6 nib, it's a 1.1 and a 1.5. Can you really tell that much of a difference? Not really.
Between 1.1 and 1.5 and a 1.4?
And a 1.4, yeah.
You can't even tell the difference between a 1.5 and a 1.9 from Lamy. Those things, I don't know why they sell 2 of those.
Yeah, they're not that easily distinguishable most of the time. And then Conklin and Monteverde. So they, on a lot of their pens, don't have stubs, but they've got Omniflex nibs. Now, I will say, Yovo makes their nibs, but they are slightly different than the stock Yovo nibs. So that one, you may have to kind of fit it in there.
Why would you want to, though?
If you wanted a stub and it wasn't available on those pens. Yeah. So there are a bunch of pens now, but granted, they've got like rose gold and black, and they've got all kinds of different colors. Yeah. So you might end up mixing and matching and stuff anyway, but it is doable. it is doable if you want to do that. So yeah,
We've seen
those are the
mixed
ones I
results
can-
though. Like some of them work well, some of them
You gotta, like-
really cram them in there.
You
and
gotta
then they
like
get
want to
funky.
tinker a little bit with that. Yeah. You know, so it's for them. It's not necessarily because of the nibs. It's because the housings are slightly different.
Yeah. So you got to
and
work at it a little bit
yeah.
sometimes.
So their nibs are a slightly different spec than the standard ones. They work well for themselves, but not as interoperable.
Yeah. Not
as
exactly the
standard ones.
universal donor.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's how much of the fountain pen world works that way. Nobody like gets together and says, "Hey, let's create this standard." It's like EV chargers right now.
Oh my God.
Like it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Some people sort of adopt a standard, but then it's not totally universal. And it's.
I was looking
it's a bit
into that
messy.
recently and I was like, you know
whole
what?
thing.
We're going to wait on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tesla just like let go of their whole supercharger department. Elon just gutted the whole thing. So that's big news in
Well,
the last week or so.
I wasn't looking at a Tesla specifically, but you know.
Well, they're like the
still-
standard for
I
the
know,
EV charger.
I
So that
know.
now everybody's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Who knows? I don't super keep on top of all that stuff, but it's been unignorable
Yeah.
in my feeds, my social media feeds. Not
I'll let
my
other
pen
people
feeds.
be the early adopters on that one for the
Yeah.
time being.
Yep, I'm still enjoying my 11-year-old car.
There we go.
Still got plenty of life in it. Anyway, that's what we got for Q&A this week. So you can email us at pencast@gouletpens.com if you have questions, and we will look at it at some point. You can also leave us comments, and just, yeah, that's cool. Anyway, what do we got next, Drew? Pen Spotlight. Ooh, yeah. Taccia, Miyabi, Empress, Shin, Sugaru, Nuri, Ao-Iro,
That's the
and
color.
Ame-Iro.
Yes, there we go.
Limited edition.
Get ready.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. What we
Okay.
got there? We got 2 pens.
2 pens. So we have 2 different sizes of pen, and they, this one comes with ink. So that's part of why. This is the bigger pen, the Empress, and this is the Miyabi. So this one's a little bit smaller, a little bit less expensive. The Miyabi one is $1,800, and this one is closer to $2,500. So they're both expensive, but they are Mach-E, and I will show you exactly what they've got going on.
Maybe one day.
Yes, if I can open it up. So I'm not going to cut it. I'm just going to try and use this to pry it open.
There we go. So gentle.
Well,
Oh, we've got a nice wood box here.
Yeah, look at this. Taccia. A little figure in the wood too. That's nice. So open that up. Now I do like Taccia because they have these cool little pen sleeves. And they vary them up. They're kind of different. I don't know if it's like every single pen or if they're random with each pen, but it looks really nice. So you got this pen wrap. The pen is inside here. So just unloop that. It uses a Sailor converter. And they are Sailor-made nibs, but they are Taccia. Look at that thing. Woohoo! So this is the red one, obviously. Now, this is a very interesting pattern. And, it looks like it might be textured, but it's perfectly smooth.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. Even in
crazy,
person
right?
here, I'm seeing it and it looks
I know
textured.
it looks like it should be textured, but there's many, many layers of lacquer built up to do this technique. So this technique is called, the Sugaru Nuri is the pen, and that's this technique. But there are several different ways to do Sugaru Nuri, and this one I believe is called Nanako Nuri, which is meant to look like fish eyes. So the technique I believe that's used to do this, it's multiple layers of Urishi lacquer with polishing in between every layer. But what they do is they use seeds on the wet lacquer to create these kind of like dotted patterns. And once the layer of lacquer dries, they take the seeds off.
Fish eggs, actually.
Fish eggs, yeah. What did I say?
Eyes.
Oh, sorry. I meant
could go
fish
either way.
eggs. Well, sort of both. But anyway, so so they're using just natural materials and stuff to get these things. What I've never seen before is in these little fish eggs are pieces of rotten. And that I have not seen before.
That's very cool.
It's very cool. And when it catches the light, it's just like, wow. Really, really pops. And so you've got this very interesting kind of variegated red in the urushi with a little bit of chatoyance to it almost. And then you've got, essentially gold powder kind of outlining each of the pieces of rotten. So I believe what happens is they build up those layers. They use the seeds to create these little like kind of pockets, and then they're building it up different layers of colored lacquer. Like there's obviously a layer here, like the red is on top, but underneath that is going to be the gold. So what happens is it ends up creating all these little pockets and bumps and stuff like that. And once they apply enough layers and then they sort of burnish it away, then it exposes, because you end up with these kind of undulations. But then once you cut it all, down to be even again, it leaves these little like, what were previous like little bumps. It exposes what's underneath there. So it's an extremely time-consuming process with many, many steps. I don't know about Taccia specifically, but other websites, cigaranuri.com .org is a helpful site that has information about these techniques. It's commonly used more in like dishware, not as much on pens, but similar kind of process. That website says that it can take like 48 different steps to create this technique, which I believe it because there's a lot going on here. So it's a nice mid-sized pen. I've got very large hands, so this pen looks, I guess it's on the bigger end of the pen spectrum, but it's very light. It's an ebonite pen. Nice two-tone Taccia nib there. And I love that the same pattern is on the grip too.
Yeah.
That just looks it just makes the whole thing look really cohesive. Beautiful pen. It feels very light in the hand, so this would be a very comfortable pen to write with for a decent amount of time. Cartridge converter, and that's the Miyabi version.
It looks like it's got a spring-loaded inner cap as well.
It does, yeah. So you can see it's like a little springy right there.
Nice. Those are always great.
Yeah,
fun and helpful.
Indeed. So there you go. Beautiful pen, very seamless too. I like that it's like minimal trim. The clip is even just like very subtle. Okay, now let's take a look at the big brother or big sister, depending on how you want to think about it.
Empress.
I guess it is big sister, yeah.
It is.
Or big mama. Let's go with big mama. Okay. Another wood box. And the wood lid like just fits really nicely too. Okay, some different flowers going on here. See, now we got a different sleeve altogether here. So, but then again, this is the blue one, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe it is more consistent from like pen type to pen type. So there we go. We got a bottle of ink here. Cartridge converter pen as well. Nice little sleeve. And then this one is wrapped in a little bit of plastic. Ooh. That looks cool. So not as contrasting as the red.
Because the red has those gold rings around the dots.
Yeah, and just the red in general, contrasting with the black, stands out a lot more.
Yeah.
The blue looks a little more subtle.
It does.
But the blue is a more like cohesive tone, I feel like. Especially because the Rodden tends to be in like the purple, blue, green family.
The Rodden definitely pops more on the blue.
Yeah, but the egg shapes pop more on the red. Both look really, really nice. But on the blue one, you get a lot of black in there too. So they both look really nice. Similar technique, but the Empress is a larger pen.
It doesn't look that much larger here.
I think it's somewhat of an optical illusion just because the pattern of the pen is maybe masking that a little bit.
You do get a different clip though. Look at that.
Yeah. So what they always do with the clip is they usually try to incorporate something on the clip that's similar to the design. So you've got the black and the blue going on the clip. Very
nice.
That's on the Empress versions. They always do those, the bigger ones.
Sometimes with eggshell.
Yes, whenever they have like an eggshell, they usually incorporate that into the clip. So this has the bigger nib as well. So this is like more of a king of pen size
Yeah.
nib,
21 karat, right?
which looks really good.
Or is this not?
This I think is 18.
Oh yeah, they
karat.
don't do the 21.
They don't
with
do the
Taccia.
20. That's a sailor only.
That's right.
But yeah, still writes great though, and this looks good. You don't see as many two-tone nibs these days.
Sadly.
Yeah, it is sad because I mean it's more work to do them, but yeah. So
Why don't you compare the nibs? I'd love to see the Miyabi next to the KOP.
Yep. There you go. So the nib size definitely is noticeable.
Definitely.
And you can see here too the grip, like the grips are quite different.
Yep, you can definitely
between
see
these
that.
two pens. Yeah. The weight though is not that different. Like it's a much bigger pen, the Empress one, but it's not really much heavier. I think because it's ebonite.
Yeah, it's a lighter wood material.
Yeah. So that is actually really comfortable. So either of these pens is going to be really, really nice to write with for a long period of time. Me personally, the Empress fits my hand well. And it's more of a canvas too, which, usually when you're dealing with the Maquia stuff, if there's like a theme, to it, like a more of a picture on it, the Empress is like a much bigger canvas.
Yeah.
To allow that to happen. On this pen, I don't feel like that's buying you as much. I feel like you can get just as much of an impact visually with the Miyabi version
Mm-hmm. It's a
as
pattern
opposed to the Empress. Yeah.
rather than a painting.
Yeah. So anyway, you got two different versions to
Composition
choose
is the
from.
word I was looking for. Yeah,
There you
it's
go.
a pattern rather than a composition.
Yeah. And you can get both of these colors in both of these sizes, right?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken about that. So yeah, go on our website. You can check out what the different options are. But you can just basically be thinking about like the weeks and weeks and weeks of time and layers and burnishing and all that it takes to make these techniques. This is not just like a paint that's applied. This is literally like 40 layers of lacquer that are done on these pens, and it's still really smooth and it looks great. So really, really special techniques on here. And I'm glad we got to show it to you all here today. So there you go. That's the Taccia. We can just put in the what's happening thing, right? Or I never know what to do after we finish the
Okay. Yeah, Tyler, just play the what's happening.
play what's happening. Yeah. All right, Drew.
Alrighty.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
I had Waffle House on Friday.
Oh.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was fantastic. So that was
What was the occasion?
payday. Sometimes I just do
We're celebrating.
Sometimes I just do payday Waffle House.
All right.
It's become a bit of a thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you got to eat anyway, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And also like it kind of also corresponds with like being low on groceries usually.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it just works out. Payday Waffle House.
I may or may not have not had time to make my lunch on the way out the door this morning, so I had chicken fiesta for lunch.
There you go.
Because I was like, I need food.
That's
Anyway,
it.
go ahead.
And then Friday, hence it also being payday, took Archer to get a present for his mom. And
because we had Mother's Day.
We had Mother's Day, yes.
There you go.
So we went to Pandora. That's kind of like the tried and true method. It's not only
the jewelry
pretty
store,
easy,
right? Yeah.
Not only a pretty easy place to shop for her, but it's easy for him to pick out something completely on his own that
Gotcha.
she'll also like. Like if I took him to Target and said like, "Hey, pick something out for your mom," like, who knows what it could be, right?
Yeah.
Pandora, it's a smallish shop.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to hate anything in there. So, but also I don't have to be like, "Oh no, I don't know if she'd like that, buddy." He can truly go on his own. So, he did ask, if he could see some Disney charms, and they brought out some like Marvel stuff, and he's like, that's cool, but I was thinking like princesses and stuff. So they brought out that, and then
Good for him.
yeah, he was good.
Thinking
and
about the recipient.
then we specifically asked for villain stuff, and the lady said, "Well, here, this one's Ursula," and he's like, "Yes, yes, yes, yes," and I didn't even say anything, and he picked out this like it's a charm for the
Yeah, because they have like
Pandora bracelets.
Yeah, they have a whole like system.
It's a
right?
black pearl with tentacles kind of wrapped around it, and
that's
Archer
cool.
said absolutely yes, and it ended up being a grand
Yeah?
slam. She loved it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Because we've talked about this before. Like she likes the Little Mermaid, but like people know that she does, so they
Yeah.
like buy her Little Mermaid stuff all the time.
you have to do it the right way. Like,
Okay.
if you get her just like, oh look, I found a notepad with Little Mermaid on it, yay! Or like, hey, it's a
Yeah.
keychain. It's just like, okay,
So not
all
like
right.
kitschy items, but
Yeah,
like,
it's got to be the right.
Okay.
It's got to be the right thing. Like,
okay.
yeah. And then I got her a ring from a jewelry store called Rock Love, and it's they're like stackable rings. Again, more Disney villains. They have an Ursula one, a Hades one, an Yzma from Emperor's New Groove.
Okay.
I got her the Yzma one. It's got a little
fun.
vial with a llama on it, and then a bunch of cubic zirconia pink things. But the idea is you can buy multiple of them and kind of stack them on each other.
Okay.
And she had told me that she wanted one of those, so I picked
Neat.
that up. So yeah, that went well.
Do you remember the Disney store?
Oh, of
Like
course
back
I
in the
do.
day?
Shannon and I send if we subscribe, being classic millennials, we subscribe to so many nostalgia based Instagram channels. So we see crap like that all the time. We have both sent each other pictures.
They're not still around, are they?
No,
they're not a thing anymore.
No, but we've seen there's plenty of interior shots that, man, they take you back.
Yeah.
Oh, they take you
I
back.
remember that fondly.
Heck yeah.
I didn't buy much there.
There's always the big screen in the back surrounded by plush animals playing, sing-alongs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we went to the mall and then went out for burgers at Red Robin because it was just right there by the mall. But then Saturday, we kind of celebrated Shannon's Mother's Day, and then Sunday, my mom came over and we did stuff with her. I didn't want to try to split their time. I wanted Shannon to have her day. So she did not want to say what she wanted, and she didn't want me to keep throwing out ideas. I was like, hey, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? She's like, stop. Nope, done. We'll just see. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, we don't have plans, But I was like, okay, fine. It's her day. You let her. And then in the morning, she's like, I want to go to Cracker Barrel, then I want to go to Williamsburg. I was like, okay,
all right,
that's what we'll do. So we went to Cracker Barrel. She wanted some blueberry pancakes. She got some blueberry pancakes. Nice. She wanted to go to the art museum in Williamsburg. We went to the art museum in Williamsburg.
Okay.
So it was delightful. We had a nice drive. The weather was so very pleasant. So we had gone to the museum because we were uncertain about the weather, but it ended up being so good. We walked a little bit of a ways to the shopping area and looked at some books and things like that, and went into the candy store that we always go into, and we all got some crap to eat. And I was like, I went up to the one little bag of candy, if it's like in the pre-made bag, it's like $9.99 because it's in a touristy area. They're gonna get you.
They know what they're doing.
But in the bulk area, you can get a half a pound for $5. I'm like, that's what I want.
That's a better deal.
So I walked up and I was like, yeah, can I just get a half pound of gummy stuff? And they're like, well, like anything? I was like, yes, literally anything, any gummy thing. Like sour stuff. I was like, I really do not care.
Mix it all together.
The thing that appealed to me was I can get exactly $5 worth of candy. Like, I don't want to spend more than it's all gummy stuff. Like, how different really is it? I'm like, I would appreciate you just give me a half pound. Like, you're helping me. You're doing me a favor. But they're like, oh my God, nobody ever asks for this. And I thought about it, like, how hard must that be? Like, okay, can I just get a kind of like a little scoop of the frogs, and then like kind of like a half of a little scoop, like
a couple of sharks, a few worms,
just like a little bit more. No, not that much. Like, they have to do that all day.
That's what they signed up for.
I know, but I didn't. I was like, just half pound of whatever, and it was a good assortment. I loved it. I was happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I literally at the store yesterday bought a bag of assorted gummy crap.
There we go.
It was a mixture of everything. It had
now we're talking.
Peachio rings in there.
I had some of those
gummy sharks. It had the watermelon pieces.
What's your favorite
gummy bears?
What's your favorite gummy item?
They all kind of taste the same.
That's what I'm
me.
saying.
Like,
yes. Yeah. 100%.
I mean,
I will say I have an affinity.
I like sour gummies. Sour things.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Like the little bright crawlers.
Or Sour Patch Kids are good.
Yeah.
I
have affinity
Swedish
for
fish. Do you like Swedish fish? Or do you think they're a travesty?
They're flavorless.
I like Swedish fish. I like them.
Like, but why of all of the myriad of delightful, flavorful gummies are you going to pick a Swedish fish?
It's more subtle. I like it because it's like a harder gummy. Like gummy bears are really squishy and soft.
Depends. Haribos they're a little bit more rigid.
Well, nothing is as rigid as those Swedish fish.
You're right about that.
They seem like a gummy bear that was like left outside for 9 months.
If that's what you're into, buddy, then I'm glad Swedish fish are there for you.
But when I want Swedish fish, I get Swedish fish. I know exactly what I'm getting, and I enjoy them.
Well, they've got their audience for sure.
I eat way more gummy bears than Swedish fish, though, as a whole. Yeah.
Do you have a preferred brand of gummy bear?
Let's see here. We've been buying some Albanese.
Albanese are so good.
They're really good, especially the sour ones. They're really good.
I haven't had sour ones.
Oh.
There's like the regular ones, and then there's
you haven't lived.
There's like there's a fancy version too that has like more
yeah,
diverse flavors. Those are really good.
those are good.
I like those a lot.
The
That's Shannon's
bougie
yeah,
bears.
that's Shannon's bread and butter. Those fancy
Those are
Albanese.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, they make a sour version.
Oh dang, I need to get some of those.
They're really
Albanese
good.
rocks. We love those.
We had some. We also had some this weekend because that's like an inside thing with our family. Because we'll like sometimes vacation with Rachel's family and me and my brother-in-law. We call them GBs, gummy bears.
Classic.
So we
Gotta get some GBs.
So like one year we bought like a giant bag of these gummy bears, and everybody just loved calling them GBs, and we all just like eat from the bag. And so we had some GBs this weekend.
Nice.
But we had one of Albanese like the regular, and then one of the sour. I think I ate 2 sour gummy bears before they were completely gone. Like, I think it's my kids. They're getting into them, but everybody is just like.
I've told you this
Haven't had 'em.
before, but Shannon will sometimes do this thing where like she'll leave a bag of gummies in the pantry, and I'm like, oh, there's gummies in here. Like they've been in there for a long time. I'm sure that no one will mind if I grab some.
Oh, no.
I open them up and they're all yellow. Like that's what she does, and I'm just like, Shannon.
She cherry picks her colors
yeah.
out of there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Well, sometimes like one time I was in there. She was on the couch. I'm like, oh honey, can I have some of these gummies? She's like, oh yeah, sure, you can have the rest. Knowing full well what I'm gonna find, I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
the
that's
rest.
nice. You think?
All yellows.
And I look at her, and she's just like, terrible.
Wow.
But she also doesn't like the anything coconut or pineapple, which is nice because I like those. Those are good.
Okay.
But neither of us like lemon. So anyway, the art museum was very nice. Shopping was fun. It was a very, very pleasant day. So she had a nice Mother's Day,
Nice.
even if it was a little impromptu.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, my mom came over, my brother as well, and then I just grilled. I grilled some burgers and dogs. We bought some wall burgers.
Wahlburgers. That's Mark Wahlberg's.
Yeah, it's the Marky
right?
Mark patties. Yeah.
Okay. How were they?
They were very fatty. So
Really?
there were I came in. I'm like, all right, y'all, these are gonna be pretty charred because
Oh, gosh.
they dripped
Did they, like,
a lot.
catch on fire?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they were cooked nicely. Honestly, the char was okay. They shrunk up a lot though, man. It's like,
well, it's because they had a lot of fat in them.
yeah, and it's like, I bought the big buns too, the big sesame seed buns.
Oh no.
And it's like, man,
You're just like getting first bite is all bread.
yeah.
Oh, that
so
stinks.
I didn't think that. Yeah, but
You think they
that's
shrink that much?
That's what happened. Yeah,
okay.
but we did burgers and dogs. I bought just the right amount of food. I was very happy with that. Shannon made a spinach dip. Just chips and normal stuff. But we gave mom
Cool.
some. I bought her a mug from when we went to Arts in the Park a couple weekends ago.
Yeah.
So she was happy with that.
Nice.
She didn't stay too long. Brother didn't stay too long, but it was pleasant. I think that the stay was equal to the amount of prep involved. Everybody had a fine time.
Nice.
It all worked out. I will say that when we went to Williamsburg, backtracking a little bit, I noticed that I have a couple very annoying dad things about myself. I wanted to kind of check with you on.
Oh. Things that you do that are annoying to other people, or things that you are annoyed by?
A little, no, that I do to annoy people.
Okay.
Now, it's not annoying, though, because it's about preparation.
Oh, boy. Okay.
And when I'm driving a long distance and somebody has to go to the bathroom 15 minutes into the drive, I'm like, come on, you could have gone.
that is annoying.
So
Yeah.
I'm the guy that's always telling my family, do you need to go to the bathroom before we go?
Yeah.
I always do it.
You need to try.
Right. I'm like, just
I use
try.
this phrase a
And
lot.
I'm like, I don't like being that guy, but like there have been a lot of times where I've needed to. And it just, so I don't know. So that's my one dad thing that I'm just constantly doing.
That seems very rational.
And I'm
reasonable to me.
I'm also a big umbrella proponent.
Okay.
And I get grief for it because Shannon's always like, it's just rain, Drew. It's not going to kill you. I'm like, I know it's not going to kill me.
No, but it's going to get you wet.
I would rather not be rained on, right? Like,
It's fair.
and she just acts like, it's just like, oh my God, umbrellas again. I'm like, yes, umbrellas. Why not have an umbrella?
So you're talking not just like in the car on the way there, but like you're carrying around umbrellas all day?
If not all day, but if the weather's looking gnarly, then
yeah, if it's like overcast.
if it's calling for rain, like why not? The inconvenience of carrying around a small umbrella is less than the inconvenience of being rained on to me. And
just like feeling wet for hours.
and I'm always just like, hey, do y'all need an umbrella? Do you have an umbrella? Do you have any umbrellas in the car? And she's like, oh my God, stop with the umbrellas.
But then when it rains, they want to get under your umbrella, don't they?
Yes.
Yep.
am also the guy like, do you need a hoodie? No, it's not hot outside. I know, but Archie, you're gonna get cold. Sorry, it's not cold outside. You're gonna get cold in the restaurant. Are you sure? Yeah, I'll be fine. I'm cold. It's like, so I'm always saying, do we need umbrellas? I'm always saying, should you go to the bathroom? And I'm always saying, are you sure you don't want a hoodie? Shannon, do you want a light jacket? No, I'm hot. I'm like, right, but we're going to a restaurant. Are you sure you're not going to want a jacket? I'm always that guy. And do you do any of those things?
Rachel does all that.
That's Rachel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm much like with my kids especially. I'm like, whatever. You deal with the consequences.
But then they complain, right?
They're not complaining around me. Because they're like, I'm cold. I'm like, you should have brought your jacket. Now you know for next time.
Yeah.
They're going to complain over and over again. I'll be like, this is falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
Like you had the opportunity to bring your own jacket. Yeah. No, I'm much more hands off with that. Rachel's more of the reminder.
Yeah. No.
But the bathroom thing, I am. Yeah.
You do that?
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Rachel and I are both like on it with the bathroom thing because it's because especially if you're like, going on the highway.
Yeah. Right.
It's like an extra 15, 20 minutes to get off the highway and find a place.
Or like those rest stops. I'm like, oh, come on.
Oh, they're all gross.
Like, nobody wants to go to one of those.
No, I am totally on board with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Or like, I don't mind finding a Starbucks because then I can be like, oh, well, I might as well patronize the place while we're here. Starbucks had decent bathrooms. But yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
The umbrella thing, I'm not great about that myself. Like it'll literally be like drizzling in the car, like here on the way to work, and I'll like come in and just like I leave an umbrella in the car all the time, so I've always got it like out. But I never bring it into work unless it's like torrential downpour as I'm coming into work.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many days of work it's like borderline.
Yeah,
and then it's pouring when I go to leave work, and I'm like, my umbrella's in the car.
Yeah, I always have my umbrella, and when it works, it's just like I feel so triumphant. I'm like, I got you. You're not this time, Mother
It's like
Nature.
when we refer to a pen I've held on for 10 years, and I'm like,
yes.
See?
Yes.
I knew we would need it one day.
I have another hot button topic for you.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see.
Hot dog buns.
Okay. What about them?
I never really cared, but recently I've been picking up top sliced hot dog buns.
Oh, okay.
I reached for them at the grocery store the other day when we were buying stuff for the Mother's Day cookout. And Shannon says, you better not be picking top sliced hot dog buns. And I said, why? She's like, ugh. And she just looked at me like I was some elitist pig trying to choose top sliced hot dog buns. I'm like, what? You don't like those? She's like, ugh, no.
Why is it? What's different?
I don't know. She acted like, she's like, they're just, ugh, I don't know. Just get regular buns. I was like, well, hold on. Top slice hot dog buns have an equal amount of bread on the left and the right.
Yeah.
So, and top sliced hot dog buns,
and they like stay put.
They stay put. They don't fall one. They don't fall one way or the other. And you will never open a pack and have one that was just cut a little bit too deep and separates.
Just flops open. Yeah.
So I'm like, I didn't think I cared about this, but now that we're discussing it, the top slice hot dog bun is superior. Objectively, it is.
That is a hot take.
It operates
my family would disagree.
All right,
I'm a little more pro top slice.
But what would they say in the argument for pro side slice? Like what do you get?
They would say you're wrong.
Right, that's what Shannon said.
There's no
That's what Shannon said.
Strong case for it.
She provided no insight or reason. She's like, they're just no, something about
I will say the cut is often more shallow.
She did say that.
So it's harder to like.
Sometimes you need to
put the dog in there and then put other stuff, on it in it. Like,
I'll give you that. Sometimes but you can go a little bit deeper.
You can go deeper with it. Yeah.
But like, to me, the pros outweigh the cons as far as top slice hot dog buns. So I don't know. I'm starting to kind of get a little bullish about this because to me, you'll
know it's bad when you have to buy both types of buns when you have hot dogs with your family.
I don't feel strongly enough that that's what I need to have. I just feel strongly enough that like they are better, like objectively. So we bought the other ones. I'm like, I'm fine with the other ones. Those are the ones I've been eating all my life.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like die hard.
That's like the default.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it's a hot dog, whatever.
This is something in the comments y'all can let us know about the top slice.
Yeah, and I'm not thinking about what you prefer. I want to know, do you really think that the side slice bun is better at being a hot dog bun?
Oh.
Because that's my thing. I really don't care. I'll eat either one. I won't. If Shannon wants that, then I'm not going to die on that hill.
Okay.
But I do believe that the top sliced is a superior hot dog delivery device.
Okay.
That's all for me. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, finished
Do
up.
you have a preference of hot dog bun, like type?
No, I don't care. I don't like potato rolls. Not down with a potato roll.
That is our go-to.
I just don't like.
Or Hawaiian. If they have Hawaiian, then that's what we get.
They're dense. I don't like the.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to fill up on bread. I
do.
I want meat. I want extra hot dog.
I want meat too. I want bread and meat. I want it all.
I like the more fluffy buns because I'm like, I don't want to. It's a delivery vehicle for the dog. I don't want that to take up space where a second dog could possibly take up space. Then again, dogs are notoriously bad for you, so you could say that a potato roll.
Buns aren't great for you either. It's all enriched flour.
It's all
and
terrible.
just
Yeah, you're right.
Eating a hot dog in any form or fashion.
No.
You're doing it at the sacrifice of your health to a degree.
You're right.
Yeah.
I'm finishing up Spider-Man 2, the video game that I've been playing.
Okay.
And I don't know what I'm going to move on to next. I could go into a Star Wars game, Jedi Survivor, which I hear is pretty good. I played the first one.
Okay.
Or I could play Uncharted again, or I could go on to the next Final Fantasy game. So I've got that Final Fantasy concert in October, so I definitely need to play the Final Fantasy game before the concert, just to kind of totally envelop myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. So I'll be finishing that soon. I had to stop last night because Archer was watching me before his bedtime, and I told him, I'm like, that's fine. I won't play anymore until you can watch me some more. And he's like, well, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I guess I'll just have to reinstall Red Dead Redemption 2. And I did, and luckily it had whatever transfer thing I did when I got the PS5. It brought over my PS4 save.
Nice.
So I loaded it up thinking I'm going to start the whole game again, which has a very lengthy beginning. But it's like, nope, here I am end game, just kind of like fishing and exploring. Like, perfect. This is great for me.
Yeah.
You want to know how many hours I have in that game?
Oh, boy. 140. Is it more than that?
479.
That is a lot of hours. That is a lot of hours.
Yeah. That's what it says here anyway. I don't know. Unless this is wrong. Yeah, it says...
Wow. 479 hours.
That's what it says.
Oh, dang.
That seems pretty cut and dry to me. So that's only 2 playthroughs.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fishing.
I like that game.
A lot of coffee.
I like that game
drinking.
Yes, sir. Coffee and Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got a half day on Friday. I don't know what I'm going to do. I've got a lot of movies I could watch at home, or I could go see the new Planet of the Apes in the movie theater. I don't know. TBD on that one.
Okay.
I'll probably watch some stuff at home because I've got a lot of non-Archer friendly movies I need to start working through.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
Cool.
What's up with you?
Well, believe it or not, it was Mother's Day weekend for me too.
Oh my God.
I know, isn't that
What are the
crazy?
odds?
What a coincidence.
Do you have a mother?
I do.
How about that?
I have a mother. I have a sister who's a mother. I have a sister-in-law who's a mother.
Reasons to
I
celebrate.
have a wife who's a mother.
Oh my God.
It's like mothers everywhere.
Holy crap.
I have a mother who's a mother. Yeah, so we had plans to go up and see Rachel's family. They live about 2 hours north of us. And
Rachel has a mother?
She's got a mother too.
Oh my
Isn't that
gosh.
crazy? I mean, like,
everywhere.
just so coincidental. So yeah, we have my birthday, which was not long ago. Rachel's birthday is, well, I guess when this video publishes, on Friday. And then we have Mother's Day in the middle there too. So we had all that happening. So we made plans to go up there. And the catalyst for us going up there is Rachel's dad is in a disco revival band. And they were playing a concert on Friday night. So we went to go see them at the concert. So we picked up the kids from school, drove straight up there, and went to the concert.
You didn't even stop at a house?
Nope.
Straight to the concert?
Straight to the concert.
So what's the difference between a disco band and a disco revival band?
They play like music from the classic disco era.
Okay.
So like
Wouldn't
it's all cover songs.
Wouldn't that just be a disco band? What does the word revival mean in that context?
I don't know.
Oh, neither do I.
I don't know if there is a strict distinction, or maybe it's just a further clarification.
Okay.
Perhaps.
Maybe it's just their mission. Like, we are bringing this back. We are reviving it.
I think it's more that like they don't write their own music. Like they're literally just playing cover songs from the disco era.
Okay.
Yeah.
So revival kind of means cover band.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, it was a great time. Her dad plays trumpet.
Did y'all have to go into like
job.
DC proper?
No, this was like at a farm,
Good.
in like a wine it was like a brewery farm thing. I don't know.
That's good. I drove up to DC for a concert one time, couldn't find parking, and turned around and came right back home.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was terrible. I hate finding parking. I loathe it. There are a few things that make me mad in this world, and parking is one of them.
Well, parking was not a problem at this facility.
I love it.
But it was 53 degrees and raining. So that was not the best.
Was it an outside thing?
Yeah, it was outside.
Oh.
Yeah. I just had a rain jacket on and, just really loud too.
Did you bring your umbrella?
Nope. I had an umbrella, but I wasn't going to dance with an umbrella.
Oh, you were dancing?
So, yes.
Oh.
I'm not a dancer per se. I can dance when required.
All right.
But my daughter wanted to dance.
Oh, okay.
My daughter's 12.
Good man.
And, it was there's the band. They're up on a stage. They were covered, but none of us were. And it's at a brewery, so people are eating and all that. It's very casual kind of environment. But we were there to see the band. So, we had seen them either last year or the year before, and it was packed. We couldn't even get close to the stage. There's so many people there.
I'm guessing the weather was nicer.
It was
then.
not as many people at this one. So we were right there in front. And my daughter, bless her heart, wanted to dance. And she's just dancing it up.
She is a free spirit.
Not worried about what anybody's thinking. And I was like, you know what? That's really cool.
You could make a memory right now.
To have a middle school daughter who's just whatever, I'm going to dance. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go dance with her. And Rachel's sister was kind of a ham as well. So 3 of us were just kind of going
That's
nuts.
awesome, actually.
And I danced hard. And I felt it. I felt my age.
That's called moshing,
My
Brian.
neck was strained. No, I wasn't moshing.
You weren't throwing bows?
I wasn't throwing punches, no. No, but I was just
to a disco revival band.
Yeah, I was flinging on limbs everywhere. And, we were just being really goofy.
That's awesome.
Marching around.
I hope someone got a video of that. Not because I want to see it, but just because
we took some videos. And it's got my
special...
family members, and I'm not going to show all that.
No. But it's a special memory that you should have.
We got some videos, and it looks ridiculous.
A lot of dads wouldn't do that. That's really cool of you.
I figured, you know what? This is one of those... it's sometimes you do things with your kids and you're like, all right, might be one of those core memories
Absolutely.
that they remember for a long time.
Yeah,
so
but I remember
go nuts.
One time he was doing a slip and slide in the backyard and he was alone, only kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you know what? Someone should do this slip and slide with him. So I just, with my jeans on, just started.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's a memory. And hopefully he'll hang on to this
that's
one.
what you would have done as a kid.
Yeah.
So that was kind of what it is. It's raining, whatever. And it was cold. Started dancing. Wasn't cold anymore. I was sweating.
Also,
so it was actually much more comfortable.
Going airborne, 170 pounds.
Oh boy.
Coming down onto hard earth. It's different than when you're a kid. And you're doing that with 60 pounds.
Yeah.
It's a different sort of impact.
The grass doesn't provide as much of a cushion.
And that first time you're like, oh, that made a sound.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I feel you on that one. Yeah. So that was fun. That was a lot of fun. They did a really great job. They played for 3 hours.
Ugh.
We did not stay for 3 hours because it went late. They played almost until 11 o'clock.
Oh my God.
All right. That's a lot.
Yeah. We did our part.
Yep.
You supported.
So that was cool. Dancing in the rain with my daughter was a blast.
To disco.
That
is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It's raining men. I'm the only guy out there dancing. So
you're a man in the rain.
Just going nuts. Yeah, it was fun. And then let's see here. So we were up there just spending time with all the moms. We did a hibachi dinner.
Nice.
It was teppanyaki places. That was really good. It was crowded.
Oh yeah.
Our chef was he started out and he was like, I'm so tired.
Oh gosh.
You could tell. And I was like, you did a great job, but I was like, poor guy. But anyway, had a blast doing that. We did cards and gifts and all that kind of stuff. I'm normally not super on it with all the holidays, but this year with, I don't know, maybe it's because it's 40, birthday. I was very conscious of it, keeping track of all that stuff. So I've been on it with Rachel with the Mother's Day and I got plans for her birthday as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't reveal any of them because there's a potential for this to publish before we do said plans.
Mm-hmm.
So I really can't. I got a couple of surprise things that are happening. So maybe I can talk about it next week. But I've got some things out of the ordinary that I've been working on for her. Yep. Yeah, and then really the big thing for us is, you know how we destroyed that play set?
Uh-huh.
I got to enjoy a glorious 3 days with nothing back there, just nature in the natural area.
Did you already put something there?
Yes, we did. We got a trampoline.
Oh, well, that's kind of perfect.
Ellie's been asking for one for like
Nice.
6 years. And I thought about it and I was like, you know, I did some research on it. They're a lot safer than they used to be. And, you know, my kids now are not like, they're not reckless. Like, I'm not worried about them doing anything stupid. And I talked to a bunch of people who had them and, you know, family members and stuff who grew up with them. And it was like a social element for their childhood.
Yeah.
Like, you just go out with your friends, even if you're not jumping around, you're just like sitting down on it and rolling around, and you put stuffed animals on it and bounce them around everywhere. And just like, there's a lot of things that you can do.
We liked to do water balloons.
Water balloons. Oh my gosh.
Like, that was so much fun.
Oh, Ellie's going to want to do that for sure. Yeah. So you can do stuff with that. Like
we'd try not to let them hit us because they just start going nuts. And
yeah.
It was like,
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That is really fun. Oh, Ellie would be so into that. We'll make that happen. So yeah, we did that. So, but it was really cool. Like, we got the trampoline, we ordered it, and we had to assemble the thing. But like, my whole family helped me assemble it. It wasn't just like me having to do it, like most things. And, you know, it was cool. It was like a team effort. I mean, it was kind of big, so it's like, it was helpful to have help with all the pieces. But to the kids' credit, they really wanted to jump on it. So like, we got it. We started assembling it like after dinner, but then like the sun went down. But I had lights out there and they stuck it out with me. And the thing is, if you live in the woods like I do, and it's starting to get summertime and you have lights on, all the bugs come at those lights. So there were bugs, like the big, like beetle, like big, like ugly bugs.
Oh, like the Japanese beetles?
Yeah, but bigger than those. Yeah, they're these big black beetle things. They're not harmful, but yeah, they kind of look like that. And they're loud. Oh my. And so my kids are like halfway freaking out, but halfway like excited because they wanted to do it.
Oh man.
And we're sweaty and gross and all that kind of stuff. But they stuck it out to the end. But they were so tired by the time we got to it. They neither one wanted to jump on it, so they didn't even jump on it that night. But they both helped me stick it out, and we got it all assembled. And then I think now basically like every morning before we bring them to school, Ellie's out there jumping on the trampoline. I'm like, it's good exercise, and it gets them outside. And she's got, anytime she has a friend over, they're jumping around and having a good time. So,
you know, you are uniquely situated to do an in-ground trampoline.
I proposed that to Rachel, but for one, like, they have nets and stuff, so it's like not as treacherous as they used to be.
Yeah.
And that would be a lot of work to do it in ground.
Oh, I know, but you seem to be attracted to that sort of thing.
I mean, believe me, I proposed it.
I thought you might have.
But the issue that I think I would have to like incorporate some kind of drainage system in there.
I've seen that done.
When I dug my log grave, it was all that red clay,
yeah,
which became a swimming pool after one rain.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I dug a hole for this trampoline, it would be a cesspool.
Yeah.
Immediately. So I'm like, actually, that wouldn't be as great. Kids can climb a 3-foot ladder.
I've seen them done. I've seen them completely filled with water, and I've seen them done with like layers and layers of, you know, underlayment and gravel and sand. And I'm like, what is the benefit there? That seems like a lot of work.
Just to like, have it a few feet lower?
Yeah.
When there's a net anyway, you know?
Yeah, this one didn't have a net, but I guess that's the advantage. You don't have to have a net if you have it, you know.
Yeah, but that's way more work than just having a net.
I agree.
I agree. They do make certain types of trampolines that are made to be installed in ground.
Really?
I think so, yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they have some sort of like drainage system or something.
I don't see the benefit, but you know what? Hey,
I wanted to do it because I want to dig holes.
Well, here's the thing.
Because I love doing that.
Congratulations on doing something without making it harder for yourself.
Well, Rachel gets some credit for that because I offered to make it harder, and Rachel was like, "No, let's just get the thing, and then it's done and over with." But yeah, we ordered it like over the weekend. It was there in 3 days. We assembled it that night, and now they're jumping on the trampoline. So. And then we went away for the weekend. But then we came back, and now they're jumping on it again. So they're having a good time. It's one of the things that Joseph will reluctantly go outside and do with Ellie. She always wants him to do everything.
You've got enough trees to make a solid zip line, too, if you wanted.
That would be kind of fun. That would be fun. I haven't proposed that to Rachel yet.
I mean, all you need to do is just, put a couple 2x4s into a tree so you can get a nice, high start. Maybe a small platform to stand on.
Yeah.
And then scoot.
I could be into that. Sounds nice and dangerous. Let's do it. Yeah. So anyway, we got that in our life now, and then we got the half day coming up. It's Rachel's birthday on the half day, so I'm going to be focused on whatever she wants to do. And then taking her out to dinner, which she knows about. I told her it is at a restaurant.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah. But yeah, normally when we do like any dinner that requires a reservation, she's way more on it than I am. So I was like, nope, you don't worry about it. I will schedule it. And I did. And we're going to go out to a restaurant and eat food. Yes. All I told her was that it's a restaurant that she's been to before, but we don't eat there often. Just so she would know like somewhat what to expect. But I mean, there's a lot of things that could fall into that category. So yeah, it'll be a surprise. And then I've got a thing for her gift that I will talk about next week.
Okay.
Once I give it to her.
I'm interested.
And that's pretty much my life. Other than work and a little bit of SnowRunner. Just a little bit.
Excellent.
I've got a lot going on, so I haven't played it as much.
Not that destruction game yet?
Instruments of Destruction.
I was so surprised.
It's on my list, yeah.
I sent him a video. I'm like, hey, this game seems like something you'd be into. And he's like, yeah, I already know about that.
It does seem cool.
It seems like just like a...
Joseph turned me on to it, yeah.
So it's a game that was made by a developer of a game that I played, Red Faction Guerrilla, back with the Xbox 360. But the physics are similar. Like all the buildings were fully destructible. But you played as a guy, and you'd have these weapons, or a sledgehammer. But you could take down the supports and things would crumble,
That's
according
cool.
to the proper laws of physics, more or less.
Yeah.
But now they make a game where you just like play as these massive imaginary machines and just destroy
You get to build the
things.
machines.
Oh, you build them?
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So like he loves to play Trailmakers, which is all about like building vehicles and stuff like that. So it's sort of combining that with like destruction.
Nice.
So you get to build, you can build a giant crane that just has like a helicopter blade like filled of circular saws, and so you can like build this crazy stuff.
That seems like perfect for both of you.
I know, right?
Oh man, okay.
I don't know why we haven't gotten it yet. I think I just sort of forgot about it.
It's only $30. I mean, you could tell them to go halvesies in on you.
Yeah, that would do it. So might look into that. Anyway, that's all I got. Yeah, we'll wrap it up, and I got a fun fact, and that'll be it for this week. Want to thank y'all for watching. Leave us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. Ask us questions in the comments. Let us know about your hot dog bun preferences. And check out gouletpens.com for fountain pen, ink, paper, and all that good stuff. So my fun fact today is about a trampoline, since that was on my mind.
All right.
I didn't know anything about the trampoline or how it came about or who created it or anything. So I researched that a little bit.
Trampoline, I think, from Uganda.
No. Oh, close.
Okay.
Close. It was invented by George Nissen from Iowa.
That was going to be my second guess.
Basically, the same planet. Yeah. Anyway, he was actually a teenager. So he was 16, and he went to go see some acrobats in a circus. And this was in 1930. It took him years, but he had the idea of like the acrobats that were like falling into a net to kind of catch them. He was like, what if you had something like a net that could catch you, but you could just keep on bouncing? So he was a gymnast. And so he saw the acrobats with the net, and he was like, gymnast, thinking about that. He's like, there's like something here. So he created a whole bunch of prototypes. He went to college. He kept working on it. He was developing it. His dad was helping him. So it took him several years.
Oh, wow.
He actually formed the company in 1942. So it was like 12 years later, and got the patents on it in 1945. So trampolines were like somewhat accepted at first, but it really took off because this was in World War II. He was in the Navy, and he basically was able to connect with some like military training folks. So they wanted to train fighter pilots to learn how to like recover from doing like maneuvers and stuff while they're doing in the air. So they were using trampolines to like bounce and move and learn how to like keep from getting disoriented when kind of flipping around everywhere. So that was originally what sort of got him some traction on the trampoline thing.
Trampolines that he built?
Yeah, he invented the trampoline.
Oh, okay.
Like they didn't exist before that.
So no one else
So-
was coming along and doing the same thing. Like,
No, he,
was
like, this was, like,
sending
his thing.
trampolines to the armed forces
Yeah,
so that pilots could do flips.
yes. And he, through one of his connections, through somebody in the military, ended up connecting with NASA because they were using the trampolines for astronauts to learn how to like train and maneuver in different ways as they were either like, you know, in takeoff or like while they're in space or whatever. So he did some stuff with NASA as well. But he was a lifelong acrobat. He was a like championship diver, super athletic dude. But you know, basically worked his entire life to get like you know, there's like some stigma with trampolines about their safety and stuff like that, which, you know, of course is always something to be considerate of. But he was like a huge proponent of using trampolines for like athletics and training purposes. So being like a lifelong athlete himself, it was like his ultimate life goal once trampolining made it to the Olympics in Sydney in 2000, and he was still alive at that point and got to see that happen. So that's just kind of a neat story. It's like this guy that had a vision for it and was a big proponent of it for his whole life. And I think now the trampoline industry is like $400 million a year or something like that of trampolines, which I guess I contributed to this year. So there you go. Trampolines.
Trampolines.
That's the guy.
And water balloons.
Trampolines and water balloons. Sounds like a good combination there.
Tried and true.
Now you know the origin of the trampoline. So you can take that information and do with it what you will. But anyway, thanks for sticking with us this week. Enjoyed having you, and we'll catch you on the next one. Right on.